We also do want to remind you that we have a Discord where you can interact with myself, my wonderful cast, and post memes, share your art, and generally have a great time. You can check it out via the link in the chat. Community and beyond thankful for the warm welcome we received. With those taken care of, let's dive into episode 2 of Drunken Dragons. Last time, our adventure began with the mesmerizing arrival of the Witchlight Carnival, where you all found yourselves at the gate and thrown together by some machination of fate. Confused as to why you were all gifted tickets and told to stay together in the carnival, you headed into the heady buzz of mirth and wonder that is the Witchlight Carnival. While within the carnival, you learned of Deerla, the displacer beast who lost their cub, Star, and were asked to keep an eye out for the tyke. You also met a strange bard, Eliwick Tumblestrum, and her albino frog. She gave you all a couple of cryptic messages that she's glad you ended up right where you're supposed to be, and bid you to seek her out should you have any issues with your fate. You had a run-in with a haughty swan before finding out that all is not quite right at the Witchlight Carnival. When a guest was nearly pulled into a mirror by a strange girl in a pig mask. Seeking to make sense of these strange happenings and to put the carnival to rights, you headed to the staff area to speak to Mr. Witch and to Mr. Light. And here is where we begin. Fizzle, D, you approach the thorny hedge separating the realm of mirth that is the carnival and the serene staff encampment. The hedge rustles and parts for you both. You know you can make it through, but your companions, will have to be a little bit more nimble on their feet.
Right, so... Sorry, Fizzle, go ahead.
What if I stood on one end and you stood on the other? Maybe we keep it open and they could just rush through.
Sounds good. Are you two okay?
I think that sounds fine to me.
I was known out real hard. What's the plan?
There's just only a 23% chance that you will be eaten by the trees.
Oh, that's fine. If I become a tree, that's what's meant to happen.
Be absolutely terrible, wouldn't it? So are you ready to run or not?
All right.
Yeah.
All right.
Who is going to be on the inside of the hedge out of you two?
I'll do it. I can do it.
It won't open for you. It has to be either Fizzle or D.
I'll do it. I can do it.
Go.
Now, real quick, how high is this hedge?
It is 20 feet tall.
All right.
Can't mirthful leap over this one.
No, I was thinking Ragel could just woo, though,
Yeah. I prefer to
try.
Yeah. I can fly. I gotta stretch my wings,
That would be probably ill-advised.
All right, Fizzle. Even though we've just met, I trust you with all of my heart, all of my being, and everything I have ever known. So I will take your ill-advisement under consideration.
There's a lot of trust.
Okay, so D or Fizzle, which one will be inside the hedge?
I'll go inside.
Okay. So Fizzle, you pass through the thorny hedge to the inside, and D, you stay out. Fizzle, as soon as you pass through, you hear the voice of who you know to be as Burley the Bugbear, who kind of guards the staff encampment. Fizzle, what you doing here? You're supposed to be out having fun in the carnival.
I was having fun. I'm still having fun.
Why are you here then?
Need to talk to the bosses.
I don't know if Mr. Witch and Mr. Light would want to talk to anyone right now. They're getting ready for the extravaganza.
They never want to talk to anybody. But they do.
Not wrong. That is correct. Well, okay. Okay, you could try to talk to the, but you gotta get past Thaco. He's in a mood. He's always in a mood, but he's in a particular mood tonight.
Which particular mood?
The bad one that he usually has, but worse. The crickets are appropriate.
What do I know about this? Thaco, did you say?
Yes, so you would know Thaco is an older clown who has worked at the Witchlight Carnival for a very long time, longer than most people who work there remember. And he's very grumpy, an amazing balloon artist, but likes no one except Mr. Witch.
So, I'm sorry. Thaco, the old grumpy clown.
Yes.
There is no way that was on purpose. Or by accident. There's no way that wasn't on purpose.
I'm sure.
Okay. Thaco was an enemy I thought I was long done battling with.
But the way between the thorn wall is open. There is an opening big enough on both sides, and with both of you standing there but not passing through, it doesn't seem to be closing after the 10 seconds passes, as it usually does.
I pull out a small pad and kind of switch my lenses real quick.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, go!
Oh, right. Okay.
Okay, so you two rush through, but with the door kind of to the hedge being wide open for an extended period of time at this point, there really wasn't a point of rushing, but you did it.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know,
It was
cardio.
impressive. You were fast. And with them through D, you easily cross over to the other side, and then the hedge quickly closes behind you, the thorns growing back into place.
Rajal turns around and is like, so, like, was that like a magic staff entrance? Like, oh, okay. It's not like a portal or like, okay. Rajal stops being confused and allows the story to continue.
Are portals.
Okay, well, you're not wrong. No further questions, Your Honor.
So, in the staff area itself, it's kind of a corral of different wagons that the staff lives out of during the time that they are in one plane. My front light keeps slipping, so I apologize if I'm suddenly like, oh god. Because the stand that it's on doesn't tighten anymore, so, you know, that's life. But it is the wagons that the staff lives out of whenever they are on one plane of existence over the other, just during the time that they're there, and while transitioning through each plane of existence. The largest of the wagons, D and Fizzle, you know that this is the wagon that belongs to Mr. Witch and Mr. Light. And as usual, Thaco the Clown is sitting in front of it, just puffing away on his bubble pipe, blowing bubbles with his very brightly colored clown makeup in a frowny face.
Fizzle, do you want to talk to him or do you want me to? Because you know how he doesn't like anyone.
I don't want to talk to him.
You are cuter than I am.
I think that is a compliment.
It is, Fizzle.
Noted.
Okay, fine. We'll go together. T walks up to Thaco.
Fizzle kind of hides behind her leg and, like, peers out a little warily.
Turns on much the charm.
As you all walk up to Thacker, you can kind of make out some more details of his costume. He wears, like all staff while they're working in the carnival, these large butterfly wings, and his are painted to kind of match his normal costume. They're bright yellow with purple flowers painted on them and a green outline, kind of a turquoisey green. His costume itself is this mass of satin and velvet that is green, purple, and gold paisley throughout with some dagged sleeves on the side. He wears this large cap that looks almost like a birthday hat that has the same paisley throughout of it and a sprig of purple, almost ribbons of fabric coming off the top. His makeup is painted to look like a smile, but he's so good at frowning that it almost turns down a little as a constant permanent scowl is on his face. He puffs at a purple and blue swirled pipe that has bubbles coming out of it as he just kind of eyes you both suspiciously. Doesn't say a thing.
Good evening, Thaco. How are you?
Normal night, I suppose, at the carnival.
Yeah, it's everyone seems to be enjoying themselves today. I saw a couple kids with balloon animals. Did you make them? They look really good.
Must have been someone else muscling in on my territory. Now I've been here with Mr. Witch all evening. He takes a long puff from his pipe, and bubbles come flying up into your face as he does so.
Oh well, you know, if I see them, I will definitely let you know who it was. Cause you're the best balloon animal creator we have here. So yeah. So Thaco, we were wondering, we have something kind of pressing to talk to the bosses about.
What could be so pressing on your day off right before we have the extravaganza?
Oh, well, he kind of looks at Fizzle. It's like, hey, Fizzle.
Sabotage.
What?
Sabotage.
Oh, are you talking about that little bird running around?
Yeah.
Yeah, we know about her. She'll go away sooner or later. It'll be fine. She'll give up.
Oh, but here's the thing: she hasn't yet, and we're scared that some of our guests might get injured because of it.
I'll let Mr. Witch know. You guys go enjoy your evening.
You're backwards and nothing you do makes sense. Just slowly hides behind Dee's leg again.
Well, Thaco, but before we go back, you know, because we are visiting, and as Dee's explaining that she's kind of hinting at Fizzle that she's kind of trying this start a plan. Well, Thaco, since you know we are visiting tonight, and I know you're off duty, and I know that you said you've been here with Mr. Witch, Mr. Light. You know, I've actually never gotten one of your balloon animals before, and I was wondering if you might indulge me, and make me one.
Roll a persuasion check.
Those. That would be a 25.
Ooh, you are good at those. Dang. Kind of considers for a moment, puffing on his bubble pipe some more, until he finally sets it down. He's like, fine, if I'll get you back to your night. What balloon animal do you want?
Yeah, let me
Dragon.
think about this. And she kind of nudges Fizzle again to kind of get him to, maybe sneak around a bit. Oh, well, my chicken bird friend, what was your name again?
Are you me?
Well, what's your name?
a chicken bird. And you know my name. You've known me for years, Beatrice. So, like, you should know by now that my name is Ragel. You've lost Ragel privileges.
Okay,
You
so-
now have to pronounce the W.
Rachel, she's never been to the carnival before.
Rachel!
And could you make her out of balloons maybe? I'm sure she would love it, Bird brains and all.
Yeah. Hey, okay, but like as mad as I am about that, I would actually love to be immortalized in balloon sculpture, but like rude.
Micah just kind of watches this back and forth, and he's like, okay, and starts pulling out a pack of like balloons on his side and like blowing them up and begins making the balloon animal. And the process, since Ragel is kind of a complicated balloon animal to make, it's gonna take him a bit. So in the meantime, is there anything anyone else is doing while he is distracted making balloons?
Would all of this going on happen to give me advantage on stealth?
It would, yes.
Good. Let's try that again.
Yeah, I'll be like extra squawky and like flapping my wings and like doing this thing that birds do when they're upset.
Are you going
That
with him,
is
Jannar? Or are you staying?
Only technically better.
If I see Fizzle trying to go, I'm just gonna follow him.
Okay. So also go ahead and roll stealth with advantage, Jannar, as you try to sneak off with Fizzle.
That is a 15.
15. And what was yours, Fizzle? Sorry.
That's a 9.
With your advantage? Okay.
Yup. Fizzle is just too, like, he knows what his task is, but he's also very interested in how this balloon sculpture is being created.
Okay.
So he just keeps pausing and looking back over his shoulder.
Ladies and gentlemen, Artemis has just redeemed a GM disadvantage.
Okay, great.
Oh, very strategic use of that.
That's smart. Yeah.
Thank you, Artemis.
Thank you,
for
Artemis.
the Next 5 minutes, I will be rolling with disadvantage. I can start rolling normally again at 724.
Heck yeah.
All right. So you all begin to sneak to the back. And Fizzle, you keep stopping and kind of like glancing back until Jannar kind of nudges you, and then you begin forward again. And you sneak around to the back of Mr. Witch and Mr. Light's wagon. There's not another entrance that you know of other than the one that Thaco is sitting in front of at the very front. But you do pick up the sounds of conversation from this side of the wagon coming out of the window that is on this side. First you hear, "You need to find a way to calm down." "I'll calm down when that Kenku pest is gone." "She knows nothing. She'll get frustrated soon enough and be on her way." "I hope you're right. Trust me." And then there's a couple of other lower bits of conversation while you're listening, as they don't move to really a whisper, but kind of a lower tone of voice as Mr. Light seems to calm down a little bit. And they start talking about different carnival acts and attractions that they can add, which ones aren't working, which ones are. At one point, Mr. Light suggests that they buy a giraffe and paint it blue. And at another point, he suggests teaching Northwind the Treant to learn how to play the fiddle. Until they start talking about Burley, who you met just a little bit ago, the bugbear, who guards the staff area. And they start speaking about Burley's brother, Hurley, about how he has disappeared and that he was a pest and unable to be really reined in or taken care of. He's not as smart as his brother. And at one point, you hear Mr. Light screech that he's glad that they got rid of him. Before Mr. Witch kind of calms him down again and they go back to speaking about members of the staff and attractions. And eventually Mr. Light says something about him needing to get ready for the extravaganza. And gosh, cart? What are they called? Wagon. Jesus Christ on a cracker. I can't tonight. The wagon shifts for a moment as they seem to be moving about, and you hear like the clinking of objects and the shifting of what sounds like fabric.
Now, before Hurley went off and started a surf brand, was he part of the carnival? Was he
Yes.
He was a staff member. He wasn't just like the brother that hung around.
No, he was also a staff member of the carnival. He did the same
Okay.
job that Burley does. He usually guarded the inner section of the wagons while Burley guarded the outer section of the wagons. But now Thaco has been pulled from the general carnival to guard the inner section of the wagons, which he has just taken upon himself as meaning to only guard Mr. Witch and Mr. Light's wagon.
Okay. And the Fae... My notes were terrible last session. The Fae that the Kenku is missing, was that Skabatha?
No.
No. Can I roll to see if I remember the name of the Fae? That
Go ahead
looking
and roll history.
14.
The Fae patron of the Kenku Kettle Steam was named Zabilna.
Aha!
How could you forget that? So simple.
Because my notes are all over multiple post-its.
So I wrote it
And in
Zamilna.
no particular order.
There's a B in there, right?
Zabilna.
I had Sibilna, so. I also thought you said Pearly, not Hurley.
Zabilna is spelled Zybilna. And the brothers' names are Hurley and Burley. Burley is the one that still works there. Hurley has disappeared.
Going to knock on the wagon door 3 times.
So Thaco is sitting in front of the wagon door. You've snuck around to the back where there is not another door, but there is a window. So you're hearing this conversation through the window, which is much higher up than where you guys are currently standing. Because you're on the ground, the wagon has these large wheels, and then is raised above that.
Gonna scamper up Janar's back
Okay.
and like up onto his head and like use his horns as like just to brace myself.
Okay, go ahead and
I'll-
roll an athletics check to not be miserable at this.
15.
15. Okay, so yes, you just successfully scamper up his back and then sit on top of his head, holding onto his horns, almost like they are controller sticks for a giant machine.
Get
Gives
in
me
the
an idea.
Jinnar, Shinji.
On a Tui.
Jots down a note for an idea for later.
Oh no.
An idea for a movie.
Be very afraid, Jannar.
I'm very afraid. Don't you worry.
Then it's just gonna kind of like just lean up to the window and go. Psst.
Okay.
You.
You you psst into the window, and you see Steven's maniacal laughter that I don't think anyone but us can hear is.
Ticket window.
But you psst into the window, and as you do so, you hear a. Huh? And then peeking out of the curtain, you see Mr. Light's face. Now, the rest of you aren't seeing this, and Fizzle, you've seen Mr. Light plenty of times. But he is a slender, pale elven man who has this ridiculous costume on currently. It's this brightly colored jester-style costume in white and red. It's flamboyant. He's like halfway through drawing on face paint that has these like stars and crescent moon in gold and red on his face. It's very outlandish, but very fun as he looks through and peers through the window at you. Fizzle, what
Mr.
are you
Light,
doing here?
I was hoping it would be you to come to the window.
Of course. I'm getting ready for the extravaganza. You're supposed to have a day off. What are you doing?
Yes, it's been a wonderful day off. I've made 3 new contraptions and new companions. And also, we've dealt with sabotage.
That Kenku. She's a thorn in the side.
She wants to know something about the Bilna.
Oh. Nothing important. Some fae. It doesn't matter.
Apparently,
I don't know what
she
she thinks we
disappeared.
know.
She says this creature used to own the carnival.
Go ahead and roll a persuasion check. And I am going to roll with disadvantage.
Good.
It is good. 'Cause that's
Doesn't
the
matter.
Did you roll a 1? Gonna take the shot instead? Okay. So what does that bring your total to, with it being a 1?
That brings my total to 1.
Okay. I was kind of hopeful there would be a little bit more. Well, there's that. So you bring this up, and Mr. Light kind of gives you like a sideways look for a moment before it's like, she doesn't even have her facts straight. It's fine. Let's all go to the extravaganza. Come, get down from there, and we will head over together. I hear you all have been doing an excellent job of keeping the carnival happy. My weather vane has told me.
Your weather vane talks?
Oh, the weather vane that shows what is happening in the carnival, who is happy, who is sad, who's being a little troublemaker.
Oh, that one.
The one that
You
crowns
still
the
haven't
monarch
told me
at
how
the
it
end of the
works.
evening. One day when you're a big boy. He says, and he closes the curtains really quick, and he's like, I'm going to finish my makeup, and then we will go to the extravaganza together. Gather your friends.
I'm already 12 and a half.
Precious Bean.
Well, he's just gonna kind of like look down at Jannar. I think we should go back to everyone else.
I think you're right. I also think you might want to get off those. They're rather sensitive. Your grip's a little tight there.
Apologies. And he'll scamper down the back.
Okay.
It's good to know what a tree feels like, I suppose. Every day is a new adventure, right?
I know a tree you could talk to.
Now we have something in common, so that might be a fun conversation. But that's for later. We're definitely going to need to get back to everybody else for the moment. I'm honestly, that poor man with those balloons.
Balloon! And Fizzle will scamper back to see the progress.
So you come back, and as you do, Thaco is just finishing up the balloon of Wiragil, and honestly, it looks almost exactly like Wiragil. It is an amazing replica for a balloon animal. And as Thaco finishes, he puts it on a string, and it floats up into the air magically, and hands it over. There you go. Now it's time for the extravaganza. Go, go, go.
I'm not. This is the most incredible thing I've ever seen, and I'm so honored by this. I will keep it and cherish it forever and ever. And Ragil means it.
Okay.
I think I'm gonna try to turn this into a magic object later.
So, fun fact. Um, as you say that, he's like, yeah, you can use it once to send a message to someone. It's a cool little thing. So, but it only works once, and then it's just a balloon again. So there you go.
Nothing is just a balloon. Are not all objects the meaning that we ascribe to them? And then I just kind of like walk away.
Yeah, he just kind of stares at you dumbfounded for a moment, his mouth slightly agape, until you begin walking away, and he just shrugs and goes back to his pipe.
So this balloon is that spell where you can send a message to somebody. Is
So
that
it works as animal messenger once.
Maybe we can use it as a decoy as well.
yeah. After we've used the spell, just like, or even before, yeah. I think we'll have great uses for this balloon replica likeness of my perfect self.
Is it like life-sized?
It is not life-size. It's like a miniature Viragil. It's about your size, though, Fizzle. So to you, it's, you know, your life-sized, but...
He just kind of looks at her palm where she's minor illusioned a small little needle and just closes her hand.
That was unnecessary.
No,
okay.
that was just to her. That was just to D.
Oh, okay.
You are walking away, ma'am. But as you begin to walk towards the hedge, Viragil, you get to the thorny hedge, and it doesn't open. It doesn't go anywhere because you're not supposed to be here. And Dee, as you have that moment considering popping the balloon before you go ahead and close your hand, Mr. Light bursts out of the wagon in this like display of glitter and sparkles and light. Well, it is time for the extravaganza, and I am so pleased that you all have come to visit me. And he like punctuates each word with a little like swing of his weather vane, which he holds as almost like it's a staff or a wand. Now, it is time for the extravaganza, and I am so excited. I do not think we have ever had the chance to be so completely impressed by people who have worked here and their new friends. What are your name now, friends? Please tell me.
You're welcome to call me Jannar if you'd like.
My
Lovely.
name's Dee.
Oh, that is so interesting, D and D.
We do love a good double D.
Don't we all?
Ew.
No one can say no.
Fizzle tugs on one of Ragil's tail feathers.
Mhm.
Oh, yeah? Yes,
I'm confused. I thought your name was Viragil.
it
Have I been
is.
calling
I
you
don't
the
want
name
to.
wrong?
No, this is correct. I just don't want to tell him my real name. I say in full earshot.
Oh, I see.
Mr. like kind of holds the staff for a moment, like against his chin, and taps. And is like, I like your spirit. Now
Thanks.
to the extravaganza. Let's go, ducklings. Let's go. as he kind of ushers you all out of the thorny hedges and back into the big top. He then escorts you to a series of seats near the front as people are filling in to the various locations and seating in the carnival big top area. Before he heads to the stage himself, brandishing his weather vane. Welcome, one and all, to the extravaganza, the big top extravaganza. I am Mr. Light and prepare to be delighted. As he does this last little bit of his speech, ribbons begin to fall from the ceiling, silks, as performers begin to wind their way down. And the extravaganza itself consists of several different acts. They have the silk dancers that begin, and then Burley the Bugbear comes out and performs several feats of strength. Palatia the Mermaid serenades the audience from her clamshell bathing pool. And finally it ends in her fiancé now that you all helped with getting his voice back, Candlefoot proposing to her on stage, to which the crowd goes absolutely wild over. And then Candlefoot the Mime plays silent games with the audience member and the crowd. And fairy dragons with bright streamers, wow, okay, good job, Corey. Streamers on their tails perform acts of synchronized flight around acrobats, other clowns, and fire breathers throughout.
Fizzle's having a small panic attack as he is now acutely aware that he cannot supervise Pyro.
Yep. You're not there for your job, but that's okay. Nothing gets set on fire, and it's a lovely display of talent and performance prowess. Now, as it begins to wrap down, Mr. Light asks if there was any guests out in the crowd who would like to perform any acts of their own.
Any of y'all want to go up? Somebody? Y'all? No? D? Little guy? Birds? No?
Birds.
I'll go!
Fizzle's looking up at D with like...
D adamantly is like, no. No. She can, but no. I mean, it'd be funny, yes, but like, she's like, no. No. Like, too much. Like, nah.
That's what you're saying?
Oh no, Fizzle's just there, like, progressively, like, holding tighter and tighter onto D's arm with just these big puppy lizard eyes, magnified by his goggles.
Oh, baby.
Like,
Okay, so Jannar, you enthusiastically stick your arm up, and it's like, I'll go! And Mr. Light comes over, very large in his movements. Ah, yes, our recently acquired friend, Jannar. Is there anyone who would like to join Jannar in his performance of your friends? And he looks at the other three of you and, like, kind of waggles his weather vane. Or is this a solo act?
Jannar kind of turns.
I don't know what to do, though.
I'll go too.
She's looking away as much as she can, because she knows she can, but she doesn't want to.
Okay, so Rachel, you go ahead and join as well. What would you all like to do? A moment to discuss what you are going to perform.
We could do some like interpretive dance because there's no way to do it right and it's always wrong.
Fizzle doesn't know how to dance. Fizzle builds things.
We could support you as you build something. Oh, or we could put my balloon and me and pretend that we're like a mirror. I don't know where this is going. I'm just throwing out ideas.
All right, so here's what I think we should do. Now, Rachel, you pick up Fizzle. You fly around a little bit just above me. I'm going to play here, and as I do, Fizzle, you start dropping daggers. I'm just going to dodge them while I play. It'll be really, really entertaining, even if it goes incredibly wrong.
Oh, yeah. Wow, that was way better than anything I had. You just had that lined up in your head?
performing with music and dance. It's just sort of what satyrs do. So, you know, Feywild
Oh.
is a little bit crazy for family reunions, you know?
Fair,
So-
fair.
I like this idea, but there's a problem.
What's
And
that?
he holds up his two like big fingerless gauntlets. I can't drop my daggers, and these daggers just ching ching out of the gauntlets.
Well, I got 3 of them, so I can give you those 3. I will.
Great. I
Grabby,
don't.
hold me hands. Like a toddler.
Roger, you got
Fizzle.
any?
Fizzle like
No.
curls his claws, like the claws of his feet, around 2 of them, and his tail around the 3rd, and then just turns to Ragil and goes,
Of course. Do you want to be on my back, or should I like hold you by the shoulders or the arms, or
His feet.
yeah, by your little cute little feet? Sorry, you're grown up,
"Where do you have your
dignified.
best grip?"
12-year-old feet.
You can go on my back. I believe you. I believe in you. I believe you won't hurt me. I've got a good strong back from years of flying over the oceans.
Fizzle climbs up onto Ragil's back, suddenly aware of what he's going to be doing, and just these tiny little kobold hands grip plumes of feathers so hard.
Just don't pull any out, and if you do pull them
come
out,
out!
you no, don't worry about it. No,
It
they
goes for
don't
like
come
the
out.
3-year-old around Dad's neck, just
Little looser.
GM and players. Neil P. Voiceover has redeemed a GM disadvantage.
Yeah, I have disadvantage now from 7:42 until 7:48. That's math.
Great.
All
I'm gonna-
right.
I'm gonna sprint over to D real quick and like lean over whatever barrier there is and be like, "Hey, D, do you have a couple of daggers we could borrow?"
Takes one off her thigh and hands it to him. She only has
There.
one.
Mighty kind of you. Thank you so much. I'll get this back to you, and I will try to do it without blood. Thank you so much. And just like runs, and hands the other one off before they take off.
While this is happening, Dee will be casting prestidigitation to make them sparkle and shine.
Okay.
But
Excellent.
like slightly so they don't know that she's
Okay.
doing it.
Yeah. On the down low. All right, great. So I need everyone to go ahead and make a charisma performance check.
Oh.
Every one of you.
I do that. I'm really good at these.
That's a 15 for me.
Okay.
I'm not used to rolling so low on performance checks.
23.
No. 23. Okay.
You were close. It was real close to you.
Now, instead of, can I just playing to our strengths? Instead of having Fizzle make a performance check, he's the one throwing the daggers. Can he just make a couple of attack checks?
I would be fine with him making a dexterity check or an acrobatics check instead.
Okay.
For throwing the daggers. If he would like.
Ladies and gentlemen, we have another roll initiative here. Chaos Gremlin has been activated with a 42 rolled.
Chaos Gremlin. Where's my phone go so I can pull up my table?
What's the gremlin? There's the gremlin!
There's a gremlin!
I just
That's
turned
a-
into
that's a
Gru
good
from
use of
Despicable
it.
Me. It's great.
Let me pull up my table. And of
Mm.
course my internet's slow.
Also, can I ask a question? Fizzle, did you tell us any of what you overheard? Did you
Oh,
tell
no.
us? No?
No,
Okay.
not even a little bit. That it's there, but it's so far back in the mess of thoughts that are floating around in his head right now.
And to be fair, we haven't been away from them long enough
Yeah.
to safely discuss that.
Alright, give me one moment. Pulling up the document. You said it was 42, Steven?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Okay. All right. Cool. So you guys start your performance as wait, Fizzle, what was your role? Sorry, I missed it. And Jannar, I missed that one too.
Mine was 16 for
16.
performance.
Mine was an 8.
8. Was that with your dexterity choice?
That was both. They were both an 8.
Okay. All right.
Oh.
Great. Cool. All right. Lovely. So you all begin your performance, and Rajal, you begin to spiral up. The band starts kind of striking up this intense song as you begin to climb, and Jannar, you begin playing down in the middle of the center ring, and Fizzle, you begin to drop knives, and as you begin to drop knives, Dee, you're making them appear like they're falling a little bit faster. They glimmer and they sparkle, a trick of the light. And the first one drops, and Jannar, just a moment before it hits you, you move out of the way. And then another one drops. And this one, Jannar, is a little bit more off target of where you are in your dance, but you kind of move closer to it as you see it glinting above to then move away from it right before it hits you. And then the next one drops. And as the next one drops, it is right on course for you, Jannar. But there's a shimmer, a trick of the light that wasn't you, Dee, as Jannar suddenly becomes a potted plant. And the dagger right into the center of the potted plant. The crowd goes wild.
We definitely intended this to happen! Yeah.
I mean, Fizzle just thinks that's something Jannar can do, and he's also too terrified to question it right now.
So, Rajal lands
Uh-huh.
with with Fizzle on her back. She like scoops up the potted plant and just like kind of leaps over the barrier and is like, "Okay, Dee, time to go."
Wild. The crowd is going absolutely wild. They think it is the coolest display they have ever seen. And Mr. Light comes back on and is applauding. It's like, oh, our newcomers with the help of our staff members. Isn't it such a spectacle? Aren't they amazing? Let's all give them one more hand. And they start clapping. And he's like, I invite all of you to a personal treat in the staff area later. We have treats for you all, and Burley will take you there. And then he goes ahead and wraps up the extravaganza. Burley hurriedly rushes over to where you three are just standing with the potted plant with a dagger in it. And he's just like, wow, that was amazing, guys. Like, how did he turn into a plant?
And then, as convincingly as you can, stage secrets!
Yum.
But her hands are shaking.
Get it? It's because the trick was set up. He's a plant.
It's a good one. You're funny. But Mr. Witch and Mr. Light do want to talk to you guys for real this time. So just follow me back to the caravan, and they have like a cake or something for you that they normally give to whoever's super impressive during this section, and then a general chat.
Okay.
Thank you, General. So he ushers you all back to the staff area again, where you're still carrying a potted plant with a dagger in it.
Dee's been trying to pull out the dagger, but she can't quite as they're walking. I'm just ready to pull that dagger out. It's mine, but like...
Fizzle is still like latched onto Rajal's back, sees this and just kind of lifts like one finger, and a little spectral kobold claw will grab the dagger, pull it out, and like float over to D.
Okay. Fizzle, as you grab the dagger and pull it out, you hear it has some resistance first, and then you hear kind of this clicking noise as it appears that it was lodged in the bottom pot portion of the plant, but was kind of what was keeping it together before it began to crack. And you start to hear the pot crack and shatter as the crack comes up the side of the plant. And Rachel, you're just like, oh shit, oh shit, oh shit.
Does anyone have mending?
As it begins to crack apart, and eventually it cracks apart, and you see in the center of the plant a little tiny version of Jannar for just a moment before poof, big Jannar is just in your arms.
Oh, why, Ragel, I never would have guessed.
What can I say? I am the winds beneath your wings. But also, do you remember any of the last 2 minutes or so?
No.
You know, it gets a little, like, dirty in the memory, so I remember there was some daggers. I was dancing, I was playing. It was a really good time. Honestly, this happens a lot at family reunions. We start playing, we start doing things get a little dangerous. Somebody throws a weapon at somebody else, and then you start forgetting things. There's usually some alcohol involved, though. I don't think we were drinking that much. I mean, those custards could have had something in them. I'm honestly not really sure. It's a whole
probably
lot.
It's food poisoning. Don't worry about it. That's what when satyrs get food poisoning, does it cause you to turn into a plant?
Honestly, I got a cousin who loses like she loses all kinds of control of her magic. Weird things happen. This is actually not the first time I've been turned into a potted plant. Believe it or not.
Oh,
It's about the fourth or fifth, I think.
nice.
Yeah.
Well, keep up the tradition.
Anyway, what are we doing? Where are we going?
As it kind of pops back out of being a potted plant, Burley's just like, whoa, that's so cool. You guys, you must have worked on that all night, huh? You knew that was coming up.
Of course.
And he's very impressed.
Yep, you are welcome.
But he leads you all back to the staff area where you just were. And then inside the wagon where Mr. Witch and Mr. Light normally are staying. There you see them sitting kind of at a table setting in the wagon. There are 4 chairs additionally set out with a large cake kind of set in the middle and tea set up for you all. And Mr. Light grins from ear to ear as he welcomes you into the wagon with a big bow. Please come in. It is a delight that you all performed so well. That plant was amazing. I, as you two know, and briefly introduced myself, I am Mr. Light, and this is my associate, Mr. Witch. And he gestures to a stockier elf kind of lounging on a bunk nearby. And Mr. Witch just nods and doffs his top hat for a moment before kind of pulling it down above his eyes, almost like he's napping, like trying to not be as much of a part of this as he can. It seems to be kind of a thing that Mr. Light wants to do more than Mr. Witch does. And Mr. Light ushers you in. Well, come in, have a seat. I have cake and tea for our amazing performers. And my vein has decided that you all have been the absolute tip of the top at the carnival this evening. You are making everyone's time so much better. And I am so glad that you have come to visit us tonight. It's the perfect night with it being your day off, and you guys just showed up. It's wonderful.
We are super happy to have made so many people happy.
Yep.
Oh, and I'm so happy you're happy.
And I'm happy that you're happy. That we're happy. That you're also happy. That we're happy. That you're happy. There's a lot of happiness in this room.
Yes, there is.
Also a lot of confusion.
Confusion? About what?
Oh, I'm just not particularly bright. I'm pretty sure I said you're happy and I'm happy way too many times for actually what's going on. But no, pay no mind. It happens.
It's okay, Janara. I thought you were doing a bit. It's fine.
Happy is a wonderful word, so I'm always happy to hear that someone is happy. And he cuts slices of cake and kind of passes them around the table and pours everyone tea, inquiring who wants sugar, who wants milk, etc. Now, is there anything special I can do for you all as our very special guests? More tickets? Ride on the tea kettle?
Fizzle's just pulled out like a dropper and is filling it up with tea and injecting tea into his cake.
Of course he is. The gross combinations continue.
Jill sees this and takes a handful of cake and just puts it in the teacup.
Mr. Light sees this happening and just kind of like smiles blankly at the situation.
Well, Mr. Light, what do your special guests normally ask for in this situation? I'm curious. You know, I've worked here for so long. I never really get to see this part of it. The carnival, I mean.
Sometimes they ask for a specific prize they've had their eye on while they've been wandering the carnival, or they ask for more time to spend at the attractions, so we kind of just nudge time a little bit slower for them so they have more time to enjoy the night. More tickets have been a popular ask.
Isn't that kind of like asking a genie for more wishes?
You can always buy more tickets. I just give them more tickets so then they don't have to purchase them.
I asked for answers. Would you finally give them to me?
Answers of what?
How does your magic work?
Oh, well, I don't completely know how the magic of this Witchlight vein works. It was created by our Fey patron. You've heard of her, Zabilna. Yes, she actually is the patron of this carnival, but we haven't spoken in a long while. But she created these, and Mr. Witch's watch that keeps the carnival moving and on time and unpacked.
May I inspect it?
No. No, darling. You can take a look, but it stays in my hand.
That's fine, you can hold it. And he just pulls out all his tools.
He kind of holds it on the table extended towards you, so you can go ahead and take a look at it.
Instantly starts poring over it and basically functionally casting Identify.
Okay. So in casting Identify on you, you do find out that it is a magical item. And it does act as a magical weapon that gives you a bonus to attack and damage rolls. It's a +3, and it also deals radiant damage upon a hit. It also has the ability to sense the mood of anyone around it that has an intelligence of 4 or higher, and you can use it to pinpoint the location of the happiest creature within the confines of the carnival, so anywhere within the river that is set up in the carnival. It also is sentient, and it has the ability to speak. Also, whoever is using it has vulnerability to lightning damage. If you are attuned to it, you cannot be blind, deafened, petrified, or stunned. And then you can also cast, in addition, the Dancing Lights, Polymorph, or Ray of Frost spell as an action. It requires no spell components, and it uses your charisma as its spellcasting ability. After Polymorph is used, you have to roll a d8 on a 3 or 8. You cannot use it again until the next dawn.
Mr. Light, this is fascinating. So
It's
many notes to
quite
me.
the wonder, isn't it?
What is its AI like?
It's What?
Arcane intelligence.
Oh, it's a sweetheart. She's so funny and kind.
Starts taking down notes and instantly starts like drawing up designs on how to functionally replicate a sentience through magic.
Okay.
This would be wonderful for my designs, incorporated into my armor.
Well, there you go. Dee, Ragel, Jannar, is there anything
Yeah.
I can do for you all?
Who's Rajal? My name is Dee. I already told you this.
Oh, but you later said that the name was D2.
There you go. Thank you.
Is there anything I can do for you all? Any pressing questions you may have, or trinkets you may want? Did you hurt yourself, Kaylee?
No, my pen leaks. I'm sorry.
Oh
Damn
no!
it,
Not
Steven.
on your flannel.
Rajal,
All right, everybody get a pen. Start drawing on your flannel so we match again.
Ah, damn it.
I have nothing to clean it with. It's like getting everywhere. My fingertips.
Oh, no. This is your fault, Steven.
I blame him.
It's your pen. It's gone rogue. It was designed to do this.
What?
That's you.
You gave Kaylee the black spot.
Black spot.
She looks a little blue to me.
It's someone else right now.
Well,
I'm
Kaylee
dying.
scrubs herself. Is there anything Ragel or Jannar
yeah.
would like to ask or want?
Turning into Violet Beauregard over here. Sorry, don't mind me.
Rajal's like, so, like, I don't know if you can answer this question, but why are we here? And I don't mean that, like, metaphysically. Like, why are we here?
I assume you came because you heard of how fun and wonderful the carnival is. I don't know, darling. Why are you here?
I don't know. Jannar, do you remember getting here? Did you, like, hop in a van and just drive here? Like,
Van? It's a cart service by this guy named Van.
Yeah.
Scream Van into the universe, and he
Yeah,
shows up with a cart.
He has a little brother minivan.
Van and minivan moving services. You know, I did actually see them. They are not why I'm here. Actually, there are a couple of things you could do for me. Like there's just. Excuse me, I do tend to talk a little bit. The first, like, I was here a long time ago. I know y'all come like every 8 years or so. I was here a long time ago, and I do remember vaguely having something taken from me. I can't quite put my finger on it. Y'all wouldn't have to know anything about that, would you?
Not the particulars, but we don't really have anything to do with stuff like that happens at the carnival. We deal with the fun part. There are some forces at work on the other side that are not entirely within our control.
All right, so there's like nothing you can do to get that back from me?
I do not know how to return the items to you. I'm sure you could find a way if you ask the right people the right questions.
See, and here I was assuming y'all were the right people.
Oh, no, we just deal with the mirth and merriment. Perhaps
do
some
love
of the other
mirth.
staff may know.
All right. Is there more than one talking staff or just this one? I
Oh.
pointed the way through.
No, not my weather vane meaning staff. I mean, staff members, those who run the carnival,
Other
like
people who
Dee
work
and
here.
Fizzle.
All right.
Others have had similar questions.
All right, there's
I've
also
gone
like
searching for them.
there's like a bunch of people that gone missing out of the carnival. Y'all aren't doing very much to find them. It's like,
You hear from the bunk over where Mr. Witch is laying. The wheel of time turns ever on. What's lost is lost. What's gone is gone.
Yeah, we've heard that song. I believe it goes, "The wheel in the sky keeps on turning."
Of course, Viragil has heard that song.
Mhm.
All right. The only other thing I can think of to ask is about the little Kenku that's been causing so many problems is looking for Zabilna. Y'all seem to have at least some kind of contact with them. You said that they were the patron for the carnival here. Y'all wouldn't happen to know anything about why they're suddenly not in contact with anybody anymore. You even said yourself you hadn't talked to them for a little while. You know what's going on with that?
I do not keep tabs on Zabilna. She does whatever she pleases within her own realm. She lives in the Feywild domain of Prismere, and we don't go there often. It's where she resides. We haven't really talked at all, so I'm not certain what is happening. She's just disgruntled and thinks we know more than we do.
I know the feeling. Not with y'all, obviously. That would be an incredibly bold statement to make, and I'm just not trying to start a fight here, you know? But I don't know. I guess I'll take some extra tickets then if you don't have any information that is for questions.
Of course, yes. And he pulls out of thin air, just kind of with a turn of his hand, 4 more tickets appear that have 8 more slots for punches along the side, and he hands one to each of you. Now you can enjoy 8 more attractions throughout the evening. Have fun.
DM, with Dee's knowledge of the carnival,
Mhm.
how long would their visit last? You said time is altered in a way. Is it more so that it could be a long time, but it feels like one single night?
So yes, normally within the confines of the carnival, time is a little strange, very similar to how it is in the Feywild. It might feel like a very, very long period of time has passed, but it's a single night.
Mm-hmm.
And it really depends on how the mood of the carnival is going. Whenever the mood is high and people are having fun, time kind of seems to pool out like taffy and stretch longer, and the night continues on longer. But if people are having a bad time or there's a lot of issues or trouble happening, time and events kind of speed up a little bit more.
It's I only asked because I wasn't sure. Dee was gonna ask for another day off or another day's admission to the carnival. But if the time is, like taffy, then she probably doesn't need to worry about that.
Well, you would know that the Big Top Extravaganza takes place about halfway through the evening of the carnival being there. But people were a little less not having a good time. That was a lot of knots. They weren't having a bad time, but the mood wasn't as high before the Big Top Extravaganza as it is now. So time kind of is being pulled out a little bit more now as the mood has become brighter.
Sorry, I'm just like I'm
Out of
teeter.
character, just
Yeah.
because this is something Fizzle would not be in the forefront of his mind, but if you maybe if you suggested that this Kenku could continue causing problems, bringing down the mood if she doesn't get something to go on,
Yeah.
that could make everything just kind of like wrap up too quickly.
Yeah. But the thing with that is that, like, that, but obviously it's they're willing just to let her do whatever they want because to the Mr. Witch and Mr. Light, like, it's just another night, and it's not as traumatic or dramatic to them as it is for us, obviously, because we're the main characters.
Oh my
Well,
god.
Kettle Steam
No
has
way.
been did agree not to cause any more trouble as you guys directed her to, and has been generally following you around. She didn't come back into the staff area. She kind of hung back at the Big Top tent after you guys left that area and stayed there. But she has been kind of just following you around, trying to get some sort of resolution as you promised her.
Does if do Mr. Witch and Mr. Light get kind of upset if the night is too short?
If the mood is low, Mr. Light specifically gets very upset and seems affected by it, visibly affected by it, and usually the staff knows that you can kind of use Mr. Light as your own weather vane, so to say, of how the carnival is going. If he's in a good mood, the carnival is going well. If he's in a bad mood, then the carnival is going poorly. Mr. Witch kind of doesn't care one way or the other. He's more about keeping everything in place in time, going from one place to another, making sure everyone has tickets. He's more of the logistics guy.
Okay.
Out of character question.
Mhm.
What is our current goal? Is it to like, and I don't mean long-term goal, I mean short-term goal. Is it to like make contact with the Fae patron? Is it to figure out something about like this weather vane? Like, what are we working towards right now?
I mean,
I think it's
there's a lot that we can choose from,
Yeah.
because we've still got Dearla and her lost kid.
Oh, right,
know.
that.
We got Burley's missing brother.
Yes, which would be something that we knew more so than you guys would know. Sorry, we meaning the carnival staff.
Well, yes, but also we heard it when they were talking.
Yeah.
So.
Oh yeah, you did. So the only
So
person
I'm the only one who doesn't.
sorry, the only person who's in the dark is we're Rachel.
Yeah. I mean.
I think a lot of the overarching problems could probably be laid at the feet of a powerful Fae. That just seems appropriate, because fuck the Fae.
That's what Fae do.
Yeah.
Excuse you, as the local Fae here, I'm insulted.
I mean, you can take that literally if you'd prefer.
I mean, we can talk about that after.
But, you know,
D would be into it.
It's the Fae. It's what they do.
Yeah. Yeah, so, out of character, so I think then maybe if I'm sensing a little bit of a trend that the more people we interact with, the more things that we might be, looking into or solving for them. So I think it might behoove us to continue on exploring the rest of the carnival and putting out fires as we see fit. And obviously we've won some favor with Mr. Witch and Mr. Light, so it makes sense for us to keep, some kind of peace for us to be able to disrupt the peace later on.
So are you saying to basically accumulate the list of side quests that you get in the menu and then like knock them out one by one after we get all of them? Or like...
I feel like...
More or less,
like adding more and more problems to the list would... It could become a handful. I think it's probably best to latch onto a branch and follow it to its conclusion.
Yeah, but then if you get to a side quest area and you're like, what the fuck is this giant chalice? I have no idea what it is. And then they'd be like, wait, that was my chalice. And, blah, 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 like...
I mean...
That's how I sound.
You know.
Yeah.
I mean, we are racking up a bunch of stuff, but it's only really two things right now. We have a bunch of missing people. And really, that's where it all originates, because even the Kenku who's causing problems is looking for a missing person. Who just happens, like, everybody who's missing is connected to this carnival.
So we start a binder of, like, lost have you seen me photos.
Yeah.
Or descriptions.
Put them on milk cartons.
So if we end up in a weird area like the Feywild, not saying that that's something I know that's going to happen. I don't know the campaign. But if there is the Fey, there is the Feywild, which is very literal place that we could probably end up, it might make sense to have a binder full of like shit we can look for.
True.
Or friendly people that would be like, oh hey, I know you, your name is Jeffrey. We know your first cousin.
Networking, in other words.
Yeah.
First cousin, Heffrey.
And their mother, Shirley! I can't claim that joke, that was Ashley, I'm sorry. Thank you, Ashley.
Thank
for
you,
making this funny.
Ashley.
So, what say you, crew?
Fizzle is like focused on this weather vane right now. He's still taking measurements, making notes, drawing up designs.
Okay, Dee's got her ask whenever you go. Ready.
No one else
Go
is
ahead and
asking
ask.
anything. Dee can go
Yeah.
ahead and ask.
Cool.
I think everyone else has asked a question.
I mean, I asked why are we here, which I don't know if that's like
technically
a
question.
It is a question. It's an unsolvable question, but it is a question.
Technically, Jannar asked like maybe 5 questions or 6
Whoa,
questions.
whoa!
correct.
I asked 3. I just talked a whole time.
Mr. Light, I know you're a very, very busy man when it comes to these carnival nights. But I was curious, because, you know, we've won over your favor this evening, would we be able to freely find and talk to you throughout the evening, just to give you a review as to how we're enjoying ourselves, or if we see any potential feedback? I know you and Mr. Witch are always looking for ways to improve the carnival. I'm not saying that it's overstepping my bounds as a carnival hand, but sometimes the best ideas can come from within the company.
I agree entirely. We will mostly be here in the wagon preparing for the evening's festivities. Of course, we'll be at the crowning of the Witchlight Monarch, which I have a feeling one of you 4 has a very good chance at. But you can always leave any suggestions or observances with Sacco out in the front. I'm sure he'll make sure it gets to us.
Oh, we did speak to Thaco earlier. And he did say that he was growing a bit restless and wanted to go out and make more balloon animals. Sorry, she does not stuttering, it's just Kaylee stuttering. I apologize.
Echo is the worst.
She says very persuasively and convincingly.
Go ahead and roll a persuasion check.
I'm so close to D20s every time, and I don't get them.
Thank God I don't have to drink as much.
That's okay. That is a 24.
A 24. Okay.
Like I said, I'm really good at these.
Well, we do need a second person to guard the inside of the wagons, just in case someone slips through the perimeter. But perhaps I can pull someone else out from the carnival and send Thaco out there so he can make his delightful balloon animals. I'm sure he'd love that. So I'll just swap someone. I'll send someone back in, have him fetch someone, and whoever ends up coming into guard, you can let them know.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Mr. Light. And may I say that it is an honor to be here, and I appreciate you bringing us back here with this tea and cake. She kind of looks at Raragel's teacup full of cake and kind of smiles and graciously nods. And thank you
Ragel,
for the
like,
day off.
opens her mouth and just like pours it in a solid chunk and swallows it whole.
Like a pelican, just
Exactly.
Gobble
You're
it
right.
down.
Mr. Light, can I
Yes.
talk to the person who built this wonderful thing?
Oh, I mean, I suppose if you had a way to reach the Feywild or talk across planes of existence, you could reach out to Zabilna.
Can you help me in any way?
I can't say I know a way to get there. Usually Zybilna comes to us.
When?
Oh, it's been a while since she's had any sort of visit. Whenever she feels like it, I suppose. The Fae are fickle creatures.
You defy logic.
Toddler pout.
Oh, well. Fizzlem, I thank you very kindly for the day off, and I will personally make sure that these two newcomers have a wonderful evening here at the carnival. And hopefully we'll see you for the crowning.
Yes, you're such hard workers, you deserve it. Now, I think it's about time for us to get back to work. Is that correct, Mr. Witch? And Mr. Witch pulls out his pocket watch, and it flips open, and he checks the time, and he's like, that's correct. And he starts to get up, and then come back over to the door, and opens the door for you all to leave. Who other than Raragel actually ate any of the cake? Fizzle? Dee did not. Jannar, did you eat any cake?
I
No.
know better.
Okay. So, Raragel and Fizzle, for the next hour of game time, you all are under the benefits of a bless spell.
Ooh.
So an hour of the game time will be from whenever in the upper left corner the time shifts to the next hourglass. It's currently lit up on the marker for the Big Top Extravaganza. Whenever
Oh.
it shifts to the next one, that will be the following hour, and your benefit will cease.
Hashtag blessed.
Hashtag blessed indeed.
See here, I'm like, I can't eat the cake. It's sketchy. It's sketchy. I don't trust it. I don't trust baked goods. But
So, Mr. Witch and Mr. Light kind of usher you back out of the wagon and into the night air once again, into the staff area. And they're just like, I can't wait to see you at the crowning of the Witchlight Monarch. It's going to be spectacular. And then Mr. Light just kind of tips his hat to you and closes the door. As you all are standing there for a moment, Mr. Light then quickly opens the door and again is like, oh, Thaco, go find someone to replace you and go do balloon animals. Have fun. And he closes the door again, and Thaco is just sitting there with his pipe. I'll be back, Burley. And he walks out of the staff area into the night and into the carnival to go find someone to replace him so
No
he
one
can
will
go do
miss you.
balloon animals. As he walks off and away, Burley, who has been standing kind of at guard and attention near the hedge, looks around a moment before he removes his pumpkin helmet, which is just a hollowed out pumpkin with eyes and a jagged little mouth that he's carved into it, that he uses while he's on guard duty, because it makes him look more fearsome in his mind. He removes it and comes quickly walking over to you all. Bad things have been happening at the carnival for a while now, and I didn't mean to eavesdrop, but I heard you guys talking to Mr. Witch and Mr. Light. People have been going missing, like you said, and I know they know more than they're telling, but I think their hands are tied somehow. It seems like they physically cannot talk about it. And you're the first people that I've seen notice other than myself and might actually be able to set things right. They're good guys, really, and Dee, Fizzle, you know how much Mr. Witch and Mr. Light care about us, but I think they need a little push to help them spill the beans. I've been talking about it with Featherine, and I've got a bit of a plan. Now,
Okay.
hear me out. Mr. Witch's watch controls the entire carnival, right? Setting up, packing up, moving from plane to plane. So we can't leave if Mr. Witch doesn't have his watch. It's the most powerful object at the carnival. And if you
They're
guys
studying
were
that.
able to take the watch, then maybe they would be forced to give you some answers. And it's not really stealing, per se, if you give back the watch. It's just taking with the intent to return after we help.
Yes,
Borrowing.
but Burley, you've never seen him without the watch. That's like his main accessory.
I know, no one's ever seen him without the watch. But maybe you can take it during the crowning of the monarch. It's the only time, other than the extravaganza, that Witch and Light are separated. Whenever Mr. Light parades the monarch around the carnival, then Mr. Witch heads back to the wagons with Deerla. Maybe Deerla will help you.
We do owe her a favor. She is indebted to us. You know what, Burley? I think your plan might work.
I mean, I just want things to be right at the carnival, and it hasn't felt right for a while. And I miss Hurley. I don't know what happened to him, and I think they do. And they're good guys. I don't want something wrong to happen to them all.
I mean, you heard about Dearla's son, Kiddo. Star?
Yeah. Star went missing too. I
All
don't
right.
know,
Worry.
it just all seems off.
So then what are we doing about it?
we do as Burley says. We try and get the watch.
Well, yes. I was hoping for some more specifics.
Well, that's what we have a meeting for, Jannar.
Oh, all right. Okay. I thought this was the meeting. I'm sorry. All right.
Do you have any ideas, Jannar?
I sure do. So, if the monarch is a person who's going to make people happy, I can do that. I'm very good at making people happy. I've got music, I dance, I've got hooves. They're happy little hooves. Everybody loves them. It's fine. They also love my happy little horns. It's great. They're a little sensitive, though, so please don't pull on them. I had to address that with a little one earlier, and it's perfectly fine. Now, while I'm doing that, I suspect we should send somebody to just keep an eye on Mr. White, Mr. Lich, Mr. Whichever one has the thing. I'm not really
Freudian
concerned about
slip.
that's not my part of the thing.
God, I hope not.
No, I've decided that he just calls them Mr. White and Mr. Lich the whole time.
Oh God.
Where was I? Yeah, so somebody should start keeping an eye on him. And, like, forgive me for just assuming, but I think, Fizzle, you probably have the fastest hands of all of us. Not necessarily because I think you're shifty or trying to steal anything constantly or, like, you're kind of that person, but you are constantly tinkering on things, so you probably have, like, very nimble fingers, and you have the tools to, just cut like the pocket or the string or the chain or just like snatch it and just like go.
Chain.
And then, we've got Ragil who can start talking to him, and Ragil has some mind-blowing ideas that I'm sure could just like have a whole conversation to distract him while you did this. And then D, you just keep a lookout and make sure that nobody tries to like, hey, he's stealing that watch. How do we feel about all that?
But Jannar, you're missing
Yes.
one thing about this plan. My job at the carnival, yes, I am the, and she kind of shows off her muscles here. Yes, I am a muscle of putting the tents up, but I also, and she kind of does the same sparks from earlier, prestidigitation. I can also give a good performance, too. I'd be willing to help you out.
All right, you can come with me then. That's a good time. You and I can do some bonding. It'll be great. We'll start a little bonfire.
not
We'll start
dancing,
telling
though.
each other. You don't have to. I will. It's fine. It's in my blood. My hooves just, you start a beat and they're just dancing on away.
Sorry, I just imagine, like, Jannar as, like, flash hands, like, dee-dee-dee-dee-dee-dee with the hooves.
Prestidigitation, the water.
I will do it.
Yes.
Finally a use for the spell create water.
I thought about it. Shape of Water, I was like, I love that movie. No, I saw it like 6 times in theaters. Anyway, beside the point.
But Burley kind of like looks around for a moment at all four of you and is like, that could work. I mean, Mr. Light's vein is the one that chooses the monarch, so if you both work together to kind of boost the happiness of the carnival with, I don't know, participating in attractions and generally helping people have a good time, it could, then you guys could be the Witchlight monarch. And while that's happening, you can distract Mr. Light, and you two, and he points at Fizzle and Ruragil, could help with getting Mr. Witch's watch. You were right, it's on a chain. So, someone will need to cut the chain or unfasten it. But I know there'll probably be others who would be happy to help. Dearla,
yeah. I was also thinking Dearla could help.
Oh no.
Yep.
They're already onto us and they have frozen.
The DM!
Or not.
What do we do?
They're frozen
All right,
Burley
everybody
in
just start
time.
rolling everything all at once. There's nothing they can do to stop us.
Roll
Yeah.
a d20, go!
Oh no, I rolled a 1, but I'm not doing anything about it because she's frozen. No,
Why did I
we
roll a
have the-
20?
We have
There
the
we
same
are.
dice.
Oh my god! Dollar store.
I rolled a 13 for animal handling. I don't know what I'm handling, but I got a 13.
Animals.
You're right. All of the animals all at once. Come!
So wonderful viewers, the Chaos Goblin's actually us. Without our DM.
We're just gonna casually take over the whole carnival. No big deal.
Yeah. So when
Yeah.
Corey gets back, we'll be like, "You missed it. We got the watch."
It's perfectly timed heist. Don't worry.
It was
We
like
also got
Ocean's 8 right up in here, like.
We need all of chat to back us up.
Yeah,
Like when
please
she gets
chat.
back, you need to
Y'all
just
saw all
be
6
like
20s,
how
and
amazing
they gotta drink
that
6
was.
shots. So like, we got this.
Somewhere between the watch and a D20.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are experiencing technical difficulties. Please stand by.
Let's all go to the lobby. Let's all go to the lobby.
I think we
Please
all
keep
just
your hands,
shifted.
arms,
Who
legs,
knows
and
what's
feet
where,
inside
man?
the vehicle at all times.
Sorry,
Corey.
Hey!
I apologize. My internet just suddenly crapped out. Like, was just like, bye, peace. So I don't know where it cut off because I was talking to myself for like a solid 2 minutes before I realized my internet crapped out.
Well, Corey, you missed it. Like
Just
we
get
got
it back.
the watch.
Yeah.
You know-
Oh,
went
really?
off perfectly.
Yeah,
Interesting.
Chat.
dude. Like someone rolled a D20 for animal handling. So
Yeah,
like,
it was me. You know.
Dinar?
Wow.
Yeah.
Great.
So like,
Campaign over. Bye, guys.
Woo! Just thank you for having me. It's been so great. I look forward to the next time we have one. Thank you.
So
It was
I don't know where it
basically
cut
right
off.
when Burley started talking.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Great. Excellent. So that means I talked to myself even longer than I thought.
The last word that I remember hearing was Dearla, and I know this because I remember thinking, Dearla beloved. Once you, yeah.
have
So
gathered
Yes, you
here
did.
to gaze.
It's okay. Wow, you need to work that into your wedding, Alex. We have
Yeah,
gathered here
man.
to gay.
I will be stealing that.
It's queerly beloved. Sorry,
Oh, I'm disappointed.
we are gathered here to gay.
I wish I would have worked this into my wedding a year ago. Dang
I'm
it.
available for vow renewals. It's fine.
I mean, I'm redoing my 5 year to finally have the wedding that I was supposed to have in 2020.
That dress,
Uh,
man. Those
in
titties.
Scotland.
Anyway, sorry.
But yes, so back to where I suddenly lost internet. Burley also mentions that Dearla definitely would be interested in helping, I think, because she's been asking about Star, and she seems really upset about it recently. And I know Candlefoot has been mentioning some weird things happening at the Hall of Mirrors, so I'm sure he would be interested in helping you all, and Palatia pretty much goes wherever Candlefoot goes, so she could help too. And I know I recently was talking to Diana, the operator of the carousel.
Mhm.
She was saying something about a deal she made, and that it has something to do with all of this mess. Maybe you should talk to her, get some more information.
Thank you, Burley. We'll go check that out first.
Thanks, guys. I can't leave this area, otherwise they'll get suspicious.
That's okay, but if we come back, you'll help us, right?
Of course, yeah. During the crowning of the monarch, because Fizzle's off, I'm handling the fireworks, though, so I won't be here.
You got it.
You need me to
Bro-
go through it again? Do you have the sequence?
I think
Have
I've
you
got
followed
it.
all of the safety procedures?
Yes.
Let me go through it with you one more time.
Okay.
Fizzle. We don't have time. I'm sure your notes were thorough.
They were good notes. It's got a whole
They
binder
were only 4 pages.
in that size type.
I could write smaller if you want.
No, that's fine. I had to get out the magnifying glass as it was. Eyes aren't what they used to be.
And that's him being brief, and D claps him on the back.
Well, it was definitely illuminating. And he smiles big, proud of himself for his pun.
Well, good luck, Burley, and we'll find your brother.
Thanks, Dee. And thank you, everyone. Good luck.
And don't fuck it up. Where's the fan for it? There's a fan for it. Come on, there's a fan for it.
Beautiful.
Since Fizzle would already know this, how does Palatia follow Candlefoot around? Is she like in a wheelbarrow, or does she like slither, or just like flop around? I'm far too curious. I can't let that go.
Maybe
So-
she has like a bowl of water.
Fucking SpongeBob in it.
Yep.
Palatia has almost what's like a wheelchair-esque contraption that's been made for her, in which a tank is sat on top of a platform that either someone can push along for her or can be magically moved. And that's how she gets around.
Good to know.
I'm trying to think of a fish joke, but I can't think of one, so.
Just talk about how you love Shape of Water more.
But
That's okay,
seriously, though, like, the storyline and the cinematography and the use of the color red, we don't have time for this. Anyway, sorry, chat, I'll tell you later. It's fine.
I think you told them a lot during our Call of the Sea stream.
I mean, a mime and a
was-
fish girl. We're pretty much making the movie there.
Predestined.
That's true.
He was a mime. She was a fish. Can I make it any more obvious?
Okay, so,
To the
moving
carousel!
along.
To the carousel!
All right, carousel first. Heard. So you all head back into the evening and begin making your way towards the carousel. As you enter, you see a procession of wooden unicorns standing motionless on a circular wooden platform. Fairgoers clamber onto the unicorn's back, and a female centaur then sets the ride in motion. The unicorns shake their manes and creak to life, cantering around the carousel to the delight of the riders. The centaur has patches of...
Sorry, I'm matchmaking over here. Sorry.
I know what you're doing. The centaur has patches of a roan, kind of the brownish red, across her, as well as white, and this long black hair put up in a braid with golden accents, and her tail is kind of braided in a similar way. Her outfit that she wears is a purple and blue with an off-the-shoulder look and a black corset over top. And she wears blue and black butterfly wings that trail behind her, beautifully matching her outfit. She comes over to you all. You all know Dee and Fizzle that this is Diana Cloppington. Yes, that is her name.
Oh, I love it.
Oh, hello. You guys out for the night?
Yeah, Diana, I don't know. Everyone seems to know. I don't know if you knew. It's Fizzle and I, we had a day off today.
I heard that you all had a day off coming up.
Yeah,
That's so
it's today.
exciting.
And you know, what more to do than to visit the gorgeous Diana here?
Well, thank you.
May I introduce you to my friend, actually? Come here. Jannar. Jannar, this is Diana. Diana is Jannar.
Howdy.
It's a pleasure. And she holds out her hand to you.
Thank you. All right.
Well, are
There's a
you all
slight
here?
size difference here. I just want to throw that one out there.
I mean, there is a slight size difference, but it's not so bad that you're like, hello.
No.
That's kind of more a fizzle.
Are you like boob level?
Probably. He's 5, something like probably 5 nothing, I think is what I put down for him. So probably.
Yeah, you're about a little under boob level. You're like ribcage level.
Which ribcage? She has 2.
The human one. But she gives you all a look and is like, well, have you come to ride the carousel, or are you just here to chat?
Fizzle like hops up onto her horseback and just like is still pondering like what benefits having the longest spine in the carnival may give her, like from a neurological level.
Okay.
But kind of shakes that thought aside and says, "We heard you made a deal."
Yes. People always call me a centaur, but I'm not a centaur. I'm just a human who made a bad deal. And she smiles, but there's no real light in her smile at all. That's neither here or there, though.
Elaborate.
Yeah, no, tell us more. We have time. Maybe we can help.
I lost kind of my best friend, who was my horse. I know that sounds weird, but I grew up in a family that what we did was raise horses. And so she was my favorite horse, and I lost her in a battle one day. So I sought out a hag who said she could help me. Said that she could reunite me with my horse, and she reunited me with my horse. And she kind of gestures to herself.
Wow. That hag took that question really literally, didn't it?
I do.
Is your horse's head running around on your leg somewhere?
Oh god, I hope not. That's a terrible thought.
Conservation of mass would suggest.
Oh.
It really would, wouldn't it?
Fizzle. Time and place.
And she just looks incredibly upset at this idea as she kind of like trails off, staring into the middle distance.
Diana, I'm sorry. Fizzle, he had a lot of sugar tonight. I apologize.
It's okay.
They let me eat the good stuff.
Well, it is your day off, so you should have whatever you want, little one.
Well, our day off is certainly doesn't feel like it, Diana. Can you
Why's
tell us
that?
more about the hag?
Well, she's part of a. And as she starts to say that, she begins to cough painfully and retches. And as she retches, in her hand, she coughs up mushrooms and tree sap. I. I'm sorry. I can't.
That's all right. If you hand that back to Fizzle, he'll take care of it for you.
She reaches her hand back, like, strangely towards Fizzle.
Takes out a handkerchief, takes it, and immediately starts like examining it because this shouldn't be.
It seems like normal mushrooms and tree sap. As you kind of look it over.
Diana, does that happen every time you even think to mention it?
There's certain parts of the deal that, as part of the deal, I found out I can't quite talk about.
Ragel's like, no, I get it. Sometimes when you take mushrooms, you really have to try really hard to keep it down, and they just want to come back up anyway. I get it. I've been there.
I wish it was that simple. Oh, but I do know the unicorns no more. Perhaps you can get them to talk to you. They're persnickety, and they'll only talk to you if you know them real well. So, here, I'll take the carousel down for maintenance. Stop it for a little. Here's, and she kind of shuffles around at a small tent to the side, and pulls out a bucket of golden paint and a paintbrush. Here's paint and a paintbrush. If you paint their names back on their tags, they need some maintenance anyways, then they'll know that you know them, and maybe they'll talk to you. They can talk about it, I can't.
Okay. They were there?
Are
They
the names
know.
like on them faded, or do we have to figure out their names?
You will see.
Cool. Can I take the paint from her?
Mhm.
Give
She
me-
hands it over willingly. Grabby
Thank
hands.
Grab your hand.
She hands it over willingly, and she's like, okay, I'm going to go ahead and shut the carousel down. And she stops it, and then she kind of puts up a chain in front of it that says down for maintenance. All right, so each unicorn's in a pair, and the pairs are named after different sayings, riddles. So that should help.
Absolutely. Dee has no knowledge of the carousel. That's not where she works.
Nope.
Hey. All right. Well, let's investigate, shall we, Scooby Gang?
Sounds great, Captain.
Jinkies!
So you all
Uh-oh.
head over to the carousel, and the first pair that you come up to, one of the unicorns has its name fully completed, but the other has some letters that are missing from the name tag. The first pair has the name Fortune fully written on it, and the second pair has B and 3 blanks. Starts with the letter B and then 3 blanks.
B as in bugbear.
Yes. As
Just
in
making
Bert.
sure that my deaf ear heard it.
Oh, okay. I wasn't certain for a moment if you were making a guess, and I was like, that's not 4 letters, Kaylee.
No, I was saying B as in bugbear, correct? Like
yes, correct.
B as in what? I don't
B
know.
as in beta, yes.
Foxtrot, Delta Nu.
Delta Nu.
Isn't that
Delta Nu.
isn't that Legally Blonde?
Yes, it is.
Yeah. Okay, here we go.
I love Legally Blonde.
All right.
Okay, and then the second pair has the name Pride is completed, but the other one is blank a blank blank.
Okay.
The third pair has the name Stone completed, but its mate has M blank blank S.
Can you repeat that?
So the third pair, the name Stone is completed, like the synonym for rock. The blank one that is not fully completed is M as in motor car, blank blank S as in Sally.
Sounds like a pitch.
Oh, that one's probably moss. That's my guess.
The fourth pair has the name Stitch completed, like a stitch in your jacket, a stitch in your side. And the second one is blank blank N as in Nancy blank.
Like to buy a vowel?
Nope.
So they're all 4-letter words.
Yes.
Is there a cost to making a guess?
You can see?
Hissing
Alright.
off the unicorn.
Yeah, well, that's fine. As long as the rest of you don't piss her off. I'll guess that the one that goes with stone is moss, as in the green stuff that grows on a stone.
Okay. So you go ahead and paint moss in on the third one. All right. You got
Does that
3
give us
more.
anything? Ah, I was hoping that would give us some sort of yay or
Well, they're
nay.
currently magically frozen. You won't know until you've got them all painted and the ride starts. I will give you that.
Okay.
I have an idea for the stitch. This one.
I have an idea for fortune. It's probably bold.
Oh, like fortune
And
favors
fortune
the
favors
bold.
the bold.
Yeah.
But if you're a fan of the musical with Elton John, Fortune favors the brave. Aida. Anyone?
B-R-A-V.
It's fine, it's fine. It's a bold. I think that Stitch, so you think a Stitch in time saves 9? Is that it? Is that the phrase? Anyone? Is that, or just me being dumb?
It sounds like a phrase.
It's
It is
everyone,
a
someone
phrase
else.
that you've said.
You've heard it, right? A Stitch in time saves
Yeah.
9.
Yeah, it sounds familiar.
Let's just hold on to it. So stone, moss, stone.
Like a rolling stone gathers no moss.
Hey, yeah, that makes sense. Pride. What's pride?
I know no aphorisms that I can think of that have to do with pride.
I mean, I know Jannar might have a fan for that, but for
I probably
Pride.
do somewhere over there.
pride. Oh God, what was it? I knew it. Pride. This. Mm-hmm. Um.
Sure, the chat is screaming.
Mancy.
I'm trying not to
Don't you
stare at
dare.
chat.
um.
I love your thinking faces.
Pride. Pride.
It's gotta be something that ends with like pride is good until it kills you because you get arrogant. That's probably the
Like
sentiment.
Icarus. with the
Yeah,
sun.
yeah, exactly.
I
He
mean,
was
if you
like
you're
Pride
flying
thinking
before
and
the fall?
wings.
fall,
I mean, that's
pride for the fall.
It fits.
Yeah, it does
It does.
fit.
Yeah.
I have no better guess.
All I can think of is like pride in like losing your dignity, or pride in like gay.
Honestly,
Aw.
I'm thinking of like all I'm thinking is like Pride Rock.
Then again, it's Wizards of the Coast, so it's probably not like Pride.
I know.
Yeah.
But like we are like for the kind.
I mean, yeah, like we are. Yes, we are. But you know,
I didn't write
is
the
not-
module.
yeah, I was like, this is a module. It's Wizards of the Coast. They
Yeah.
are not like Pride. I mean, they are for a month, but after that, they're just like Pride.
No,
Okay.
it's alright.
Yes, corporations.
Fortune favors the
When
bold.
it makes the money.
Something stone in the moss. Oh, I'm out of beer. There you go. A Stitch in Time saves 9, which I feel like if we talk to people around the carnival, there might be 9 people missing.
Oh,
So
yeah,
stop
that's definitely.
I'm a writer. Sorry.
Put her in the writer's room.
And if it's not, I'm gonna call them out on poor writing. Because that is setting up a really good idea.
Okay,
It's
so
in
you
time.
guys go ahead and paint in bold for the first pair. The second one you paint in fall. The third moss, and the fourth 9. So go ahead and pick your unicorns to sit upon.
I'm gonna sit on Stitch.
Okay.
Yeah,
So sit
Stone.
on bold.
We got Pride.
Of course
Bold,
you do.
Pride, Stone, great, and Stitch. And as you do so, Diana kind of like gives you a wave and a nod and starts up the ride. And as it kind of comes to life, the unicorns toss their heads and neigh. And you all hear in your mind, you have lost something, and it can be found.
Fragile's like, we have all lost the game.
Now everyone here has lost the game. Thanks,
go.
Fragile.
Been like 7 years.
I mean, I never played it in the first place, and everyone's like, you can't not play the game. And I'm like, watch me.
Everyone's playing the game, correct?
But they continue. It can be found. Fizzle, you hear, and so does Raradual. Look towards Endelin's theater. D, you hear. It can be found at Bavlorna's House of Stilts. And Jannar, you hear. Look towards Skabatha's tree trunk.
You send me to the one place Praise Mercer has forbidden. The theater.
You also
we-
hear.
Oh, sorry. I was about to say, I was like, can we think back to the unicorns?
You also hear. They do have a weakness. Both Fizzle and who was it? And Ragel, you hear that their weakness is, let me find her, that she has foreseen her own death, which happens during an eclipse. D, you hear the hag you seek is allergic to seeing someone run Windershins.
Once
W-
more again
I-
for my deaf sound. Sorry, what?
The hag you seek is allergic to seeing someone run Widdershins. Widdershins. And then Jannar, you hear the hag you seek sleeps in a dollhouse and can't remember the first creature she sees when she wakes up.
Can we think back to the unicorns? Or is
You
it
can
just
certainly
go
try.
one way?
You can certainly try.
Can D think, but what about Diana?
Diana's curse can only be undone by defeating the coven.
How do you work?
How do you work, little one?
I'm still figuring that out.
There are many mysteries.
D just thinks thank you as hard as she can.
Jannar actually says thank you out loud.
Fizzle's
Yeah.
examining. It's casting Identify.
They are magical, and it is a form of transmutation magic.
You have a lovely enchantment.
Thank you. Any other questions or thoughts you all have as your carousel ride winds down?
If they know where Zybilna is,
Zybilna of Prismere is frozen in time.
Uh, D just confirms, does our plan to get the watch, will that work? Well, like, is it wise to take the watch from Mr. Witch?
Jake the unicorn. Signs point to yes.
All paths cannot be seen, but some paths lead to where you need to be. Better luck next time.
you gotta pop
Frustratingly
the horn
cryptic.
off and shake it again, and then look back into it.
Blow into it like a Nintendo cartridge.
Do you... I'm just glad no one said, like, stroke the horn.
Yeah, I realized as soon as I was like, take it off and then shake it, and I was like, nope, we're not gonna make that motion.
Wait, you're not going to do the shake weight motion?
I mean, I can if you guys really want.
Oh,
Yeah,
I
let's all,
see.
let's all have a
It's-
moment for the shake weight.
It's phallic. That's the joke.
Yes, thank you for joining the party.
Would you like me to make a vulvic joke? I can do that too.
Equal. We are equal in our sexual jokes.
Ragel is really resisting the temptation to ask something stupid like, what's
course she
the
is.
afterlife like? And instead it's like, is there a way we can unfreeze what's her face? Fey lady. Zerp dorp.
Dork. Yeah,
Da
correct.
da.
Zoltan.
Zer.
Zoltaria.
Zybilna.
Any magic that exists can be undone. Look towards our sisters in the realm of Prismere.
How do we get to Prismere?
Good question.
Thank you.
Mr.
Ragel
Witch
studied
and
philosophy.
Mr. Light know the way.
Of course they do.
Are they, like, true to the game? Or, like, are they actually, like, nice people? Or, like, or not?
Are you asking the unicorns this?
You know, it was rhetorical, but yes. Sorry, let me say this, D. Are Mr. Witch and Mr. Light actually, like, truthful? Earnest, I guess? Honest? Not assholes?
They also have accepted an unfortunate deal.
They're not the enemies. Okay. This is... So right over.
The carousel rotates one last time, before it winds down and comes to a stop, and the unicorns freeze once more. And Diana comes hurriedly over. Well, did you find anything? Figure out what you need?
They said a lot of really vague things that will make sense in hindsight.
They do that, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Wonderful
smart, though.
transmutation.
Oh, yeah. They're really cool. I wish I could take credit for it, but I just maintain it. Well, I hope you guys figure out whatever's going on.
You'll be fine again one day.
Thanks, Dee.
You will.
And she kind of turns and goes back to the beginning of the attraction, unhooks the clothes from maintenance side as a whole bunch of children come rushing in and clamber up the carousel, and she goes back to her duties of running it.
As she unhooks it, I want to like, hey y'all, give me your extra tickets for a second here, real quick. Just give them to me. Just,
All right.
Just snatch. And I'm just gonna like hand it to her to like start punching all the kids that were waiting.
Oh.
Oh, how kind!
Well, I figure, you know, we were doing something nice for you. Were doing something nice for us. We should pass that on. Make things a little happier around Carnival.
That and like they could be like destroyed, like that one hobbit halfling guy who went into the Hall of Mirrors, right? So we should probably get our stamp too. If you ride a ride,
You know,
without
you're
the
actually
punch.
probably not wrong. We should probably definitely do that too.
But
Yeah.
we were maintenancing the ride, though.
Yeah,
But we
then
still
did.
rode it.
The line
was
was
like
not
a test
open,
ride.
therefore
No, that's
it
true.
was not open, technically.
It wasn't like a real ride. It was a test ride. You got to do that with the attractions. Like,
We were
That's true.
technically working.
there's a very
So-
large mouse who will back me up on that.
What do you think, Ticket Man? Ticket Man!
Silence for
When
once.
Tuscan rides, you do not ride them until it does one full cycle on its own. Then you may ride.
See, here we go. No problem. Anyway,
Okay. Gosh, I was
Thank you,
just
Miss
trying
Mustache.
I was just trying to make sure that our mortal souls don't get stolen. Gosh.
I mean, it's not like we're doing anything with them. It's fine.
Yeah, you're not wrong.
You're definitely scaring yours away the more drugs you do, but
Fizzle goes over to Jannar and like, as he does to get people's attention, just kind of tugs on his tail.
Ah, all right. What's up? Yep. Hi. Howdy.
Are you trying to make people happy?
That's the goal at the moment. Yes.
I see. Strike a pose.
All right. I'm just gonna like awkwardly like.
And as he does, like, Fizzle hides behind him, charges his gauntlets, and starts firing off these fire bolts just into the air dramatically.
I'm just
Oh,
gonna like
okay.
change poses a couple of times while he does this.
Go ahead, Jannar, roll a performance check with advantage.
Right. 21.
21, excellent. So as this happens, like the kids that are waiting in line to go onto the carousel ride are like, wow, oh, so cool! And like one kid who just has like cotton candy stuck all over their face just like sits there with slack jawed for a moment, and then you like pose one more time, and the kid just screams like in a sugar rush, like just. They seem very excited.
That's terrifying. I do not want. We need to get away from this flood of children.
That's how kids react in my
Uh-huh.
experience.
I believe you. I'm also just not a child person.
Me neither, so that's how kids react in my experience. They're all just foaming at the mouth, little gremlins.
Uh-huh.
Lord.
Mhm.
Oh,
That is
man.
accurate.
With dirty, sticky little grubby hands, and I'm like, why are you sticky? Don't touch me.
Yep.
To
Wishing I
get
had taken prestidigitation to clean them off as they walk by. I'd just be like, ew, disgusting. Stop it. Don't touch the fur.
The parents are happier now, too.
To get the kids off of Jannar so they can move on, decast minor illusion and just like makes a like a piece of candy or like a big pile of candy appear right at the entrance.
They all dogpile onto it, and it just becomes a mass of writhing children,
Ugh.
upset that there's no candy.
You're welcome.
All right, let's get out of here. Happy little hoops. Tap, 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 tap.
Happy little hoop.
Gonna start casually playing as I like walk through the carnival wherever we're going next.
Roll initiative. Escape the horde of children.
Alright, where would you all like to go next?
Is it time for the ceremony? Ceremony?
It is not.
Good, because I'm not ready for that. Anywho. I want to check out this stilt place.
So these
Uh,
places that we heard,
They're not on the map.
they're not a
Yeah.
part of a carnival.
Which
Right?
places?
Valborna's
theater,
House of
the-
Stilts.
No.
Okay.
But, okay.
So you all have been to the Dragonfly rides, but you have not rode them yet. You have not been to the Calliope. You have not been to the Bubble Pop Teapot. You have not been to the Pixie Kingdom. You have not been to the Mystery Mine. You have not been to the Snail Race. You haven't been to the small stalls over here, which are a various skill check kind of situations where you can win prizes. Excuse me, you also haven't been to Silver Song Lake, which is where Palatia the Mermaid performs.
When she's not being rolled around in her little, motorized.
Well, that wasn't part of the swan ride.
No, Palatia's performance at Silver Song Lake was not part of the Swan ride. Gondola swans are separate. They go around the outer river of the carnival. Jeez, words are hard.
I'm curious about the snail racing.
You just gotta keep pinging the small stalls there, D, over and over. I'll
not
go here.
I'm not paying on
All
the small
prizes.
stalls. Who's paying on the small stalls?
I'll
Fine.
go to the games with you, D.
Thank you, Fizzle.
All right, sounds like
It's
a
like
good
you know me
time.
so well.
All
I do
right,
love a good,
games it
healthy
is.
competition. As you can tell by what's left of the fucking custard, it's probably in my beard somewhere out here.
There is remnants of custard.
Oh my god, you play the game and you just win more pork custard. Let's. It's a hot
Okay.
item tonight. Here.
So you all head over to the small stalls. And oop, sorry, let me change that over. It was doing something weird. Sirenscape, get it together. You head over to the small stalls in which you see a variety of games. There is the Almirage ring toss, which is where you try to throw a ring on a Almirage, which is a rabbit that has a unicorn horn and can disappear and reappear at random. There is also Catch the Dragon by the Tail. There is the Gnome Poetry Contest, Goblin Wrestling, Guess the Number of Feathers, and Outstare the Cyclops.
Sorry, you said gnome poetry contest?
I certainly did.
If I was playing the bard that I typically play, I would 100 million% go to the gnome poetry contest. But as I am playing a bird who is not a bard, I'm gonna go to count the feathers. I feel like I could very easily win that one.
How can we
Okay.
pass up the gnome poetry contest, though?
No. I'm not saying it shouldn't be done. I'm saying I'm not the one to do it.
Okay, that's fine. That's
I
fine.
mean,
I
you
will.
save the dragon for last, because once you start chasing the dragon,
Ragel's like, don't I know it? Takes another puff of the vape pen.
So you're going to go to Guess the Number of Feathers first, and then the Gnome Poetry Contest, correct?
Yes,
Is
please.
there anything Fizzle or Jannar is interested in trying?
I want to do the Cyclops.
Okay, and then you'll go to outstare the Cyclops. What about you, Fizzle?
Fizzle's kind of interested in the ring toss on the Wappletingers.
Honestly, I just want to do it all.
The Wappletingers. I mean, you can definitely try it all if you want to. But, okay, so first we'll go to guess the number of feathers. If anyone other than Ruraja would also like to enter, they definitely can. But as you walk up, there is one of the carnival hands standing out front. He is kind of a gangly human, about maybe in his late teens, early 20s, who calls out, "Birds of a feather, how about feathers of a bird? Step right up and guess how many feathers festoon this fiendish fowl." And he looks really proud of himself for that alliteration.
It's very good.
Ragel's like, it's impressive that you were able to say that, and I can see that you did your vocal warm-ups today, but also that's like a really offensive way to talk about birds, and you should maybe reconsider your phrasing. Anyway,
Cockatrice.
Honestly, I think you're doing great. I'm so
Thank
excited to
you.
be here and participate in your game because you are just so enthusiastic. Just ignore her. She's a little touchy, but it's fine. You should listen to the way she speaks about the Fae. So if we're going to start talking about things like that, we're going to start with ourselves. You want a mirror?
a little touchy, says the person who's like, "Ooh, don't touch my horns. They're sensitive."
Anyway, let's go into this here. So,
Anyway, let's play the game. Rajal is easily making herself the most unlikable character. Like,
I don't think that's true either.
So each person gets 3 tries to guess the number of feathers on one of the caged cockatrices in the tent. So I need whoever is participating to roll an intelligence check.
Let's do it, shall we?
This is Fizzle is all about this. This is a math problem.
It is a math problem. It's like the jelly bean one. 5.
5.
Okay. 8. Fizzle?
17. Oh, sorry.
Oh, go ahead, D. 17?
Sorry, 17.
Uh-huh.
That was so close to an amazing roll. 13.
13. Okay. So you all say your guess of the number of feathers, and the kid who is
69.
working the tent goes, "Brr, wrong. Guess 2. So go ahead, second round of intelligence checks for me, please.
13.
15.
Okay. 10. Fizzle?
13 again.
Oh, wait. Are we still in the hour that they have bless?
You are, yes.
Oh,
So
right.
you two then add a d4.
Yes.
Oh, that's what Bless
Ragel
does.
and Fizzle can add a d4 to the rolls.
Bless.
Hashtag humble and blessed. That is a 15.
14.
14, and that changes yours to what, Ragel? Sorry.
15.
15. Okay. Again, he goes, "Brr, wrong. One more try."
All right, y'all,
Another
we got
round.
it this time. We got it. We got it. I ain't got it.
19.
Okay.
Oh my god, no, Fizzle!
Add your d4s.
Add your
I did.
d4s.
3 in a row?
13 again?
Yeah.
Those dice need to go
that
steady
comes
by.
that comes with bless.
I would, before we give that number, I would
16.
like to, since they missed their first time with bless, can we have them add the d4 to this time?
Are you trying to bargain for
I-
2 d4s?
Can I
Abby?
just
I
re-roll
am
on an
trying
actual
to-
die?
I'm not trying to rules lawyer. I'm trying to rules public defender.
Bless
Okay,
your
just-
little heart. You're not getting 2d4. You
Alright,
already
it was
get
worth-
one
it was
d4.
worth
Try
a
again
shot.
on a real die, because Orange Jesus does not like me today.
I rolled an 11.
11? Okay. And what was yours, Fizzle?
A total of a 16.
Total of a 16. Okay. So everyone gives out their guesses, and then the kid at the front goes, "Ding, ding, ding! The bird knows her birds!" And
That's still
you got
offensive, but thank you.
it. You got it correct. So go ahead and roll me a d8.
Is that an 8? Nope. That's a 10. That's an 8. 4?
4. So he gives you a bottle of Witchlight wine. While the bottle is uncorked, it plays calliope music until the bottle is completely emptied of wine.
Oh. So the only kind of wine I can drink is Lord Cluckington's fantasy bird wine for birds plus drugs. Could I possibly trade this for that? Every other wine makes me sick. It's nothing personal.
I don't know what that is. Maybe you could like give it as a gift.
Yeah, okay. That's
Yeah.
fair.
Free gift for Winter Fest activities.
Winter night.
Whatever lore-based winter activities exist in this world that I never decide which one it is.
Religion's so complicated, man. Okay. Yeah, I'll take it. It's a good gift. It's a good re-gift. Thank you.
Great.
Rethink your parlance vis-a-vis birds.
Okay, I'll do that. I just read the script. Okay. He seems really nervous.
Honestly, you're doing great. Keep it up.
Thanks. Why is the bird lady so mean?
It's just who she is as a person. Don't take it personally.
Okay, thanks.
Magic
All right,
horseman.
So next you all are headed to the gnome poetry contest, correct?
Yes.
Excellent. So as you walk up, there is an actual gnome who is working this stall who shouts, "Sound the chime, it's time to rhyme. You bring the poem, we'll bring the gnome." Poem.
Is that really a rhyme?
It was stretching, but you know what? That's because you're short. It's good. Good job.
Really want him to be a gnome barbarian that just does slam poetry.
Oh, yeah.
That's pretty funny. All right, so who would like to participate in the poetry contest?
Okay, I'll do it.
All right, 1, 2, 3. Is Fizzle going to hang back on this one?
Fizzle's not a wordsmith.
Come on,
Okay.
Fizzle. You should do it do it for the vine.
Okay, so we're going. Either you can enter as a group and compete against each other, or you can enter individually and just compete against the gnome.
I want to compete against each other. That'd be funny.
Yeah, 100.
Team building.
Yeah.
Sure.
Wait.
That's also what I was going to say.
You said we do compete against each other, or we don't?
Yes. So if you enter
Wait,
all together, you compete against each other and the gnome.
Yeah.
And only one person wins. Or you can enter individually and just compete against the gnome.
Ragel's not here to make friends. Ragel's here to win prizes.
Okay. All right, so it is a best of 5. So let's get our first roll of performance checks, please.
Of what kind? Performance.
checks.
You literally just said that. Yeah, I rolled a 20.
Was it a nat 20?
Yes. Which means
Would you like me to drink, or would you like the benefit?
no, well, part of me wants you to like drink and have to rhyme,
While you
but like, yeah, okay, yeah. You could ventriloquist it, and like while drinking the drink, say the rhyme.
Just to throw it out there, I don't know what your modifier is, but also add bless.
Oh yeah, so
D4.
yeah, no, I know. I'm also looking at my other number.
Okay.
That's a 21.
Okay. All right.
Sorry.
So what did everyone else get for totals?
Also
I
21.
got a 22 because I'm really good at performance.
Okay. And the gnome got a 12.
Ah, damn.
So, Rachel, do you want me to take the shot, or do you want the benefit?
I'll take the benefit, honestly.
Okay. All right. So, the gnome calls out, "There once was a young lady of Dorking who bought a large bonnet for walking, but its color and size so bedazzled her eyes that she very soon went back to Dorking." And it completely flops. I tried to pick a bad one. That was a bad one. they're well-known limericks, but that was a bad
Yeah.
one.
Do we have to
And-
follow that rhyme scheme when we do it?
Huh?
Do we
No,
have to
you
follow?
don't have to follow that particular rhyme scheme. No.
No. Okay.
It's just any poem that is a rhyming poem.
And there's
I
no
think-
like, there's no stanza limit. Like, I mean, so, not that I'm gonna do like a 5,000 stanza, but like, does it have to be like 4?
I mean, it should be more than a couplet, because a couplet is crap out.
Yeah. Okay.
So, 2 lines are easy.
You got it.
But yeah, and Rachel, you like just completely own him with this wonderful poem that I don't know. I'm not gonna make you make one up because I'm not that mean. I have them prepared.
I was like,
actually,
oh
yeah, I actually bust out some like it's not even like rhyming poetry, but it passes because it's so good.
Oh, yeah.
I would say it's probably something by like E. Cummings or something like that. It just performed with such nuance and body and heart.
Beautiful. An excellent poetry reading, and the crowd goes wild. So you win the first round. All right.
We were
so
actually rhyming.
let's
That's
go
why I
ahead.
got so excited.
Let's go ahead and get our second
Play by the
round of
rules.
performance checks.
That is a 19 for me.
19. What is yours, Jannar?
I rolled a 2, so that's 8.
Okay. And 8. Andy?
17.
17. All right, and then the gnome rolled a 15. So again, Rarajo gives this beautiful moving performance. This time, some Robert Frost poem, I guess. I don't know, something that's deep-ish.
Silverstein.
Sure. And the crowd absolutely loves it. I love you with the crazy charisma modifier, D. Are just falling flat on your face. That's funny. All right, round 3.
Instead of a 2, I rolled a 3.
Ooh,
Nice.
thrilling.
Yeah.
Rarajo?
17.
17, okay. The gnome rolled a 10, and D?
I rolled a 19.
No, 19. Great. So, D, you are saving this one, and you heard it in a pub one time in one of the planes whenever you guys were going around. It is crass and hilarious.
There
And
once
the
was a-
crowd... Well, go ahead.
Oh no, it's okay. I was just gonna do the SpongeBob one.
Oh,
There
I
once
thought
was
you
a
knew.
man from Peru who dreamed he was eating a shoe. He woke with a fright in the middle of the night to find that his dream had come true.
Ah!
That was literally the one that kept going around in my head this whole time.
It's because it's a limerick.
Yeah.
Limericks. But yeah, so it is crass and hilarious. It's one of those like pub bar limericks that you just can't stop laughing at, and the crowd is roaring with laughter. So that is 1 for D, 2 for Ragel. We are on round 4.
May the best rhymer win.
It is close for Ragel and D. They could still win, but the gnome and Jannar have no chance at this point. They're just here to have a good time. The gnome rolled an 11. Jannar, what was yours?
23.
23. Wow. Ragel,
14.
14. And D,
D20.
a nat 20?
Which means... Sorry, I said D20. I rolled a D20, I got a nat 20, which means the 24.
Nice. So, would you like the extra benefit, which means you will automatically beat Jannar, or would you like me to take a shot?
Oh no, honey, you can take a shot. You haven't taken one yet.
Okay, I'll take a shot. Darn it, I thought I'd get away. Drinking
Up
alcohol
in my
tonight.
house.
I'm not in your
Been a
house.
woeful
Kaylee.
lack of shots tonight.
Well, because you guys made so many happen the first night. It
Can I
was, like,
add my
constant.
D4 to this? My blood? I'm just...
You don't have bless. You didn't eat the cake, bitch.
I'm joking. But I do like cake, just for the chat, so you know.
Aggressive.
Look. I have to drink a lot in a week, so whenever I can get away with maybe saving my liver a little, it's a positive.
You could eat condiments like I do.
I could, yes.
Do that.
But people don't expect me to do that. And by people, I mean Steven. All right. So that is round 4. Let's go ahead into round 5. Last one.
I got excited. Okay. Okay.
All right. The gnome rolled a 15. Jannar.
21.
21. Rarajal. Was that?
So 21.
Oh, okay. Also 21. I was like, was that a 1 or was that one moment, please? I was
Oh,
confused.
yes. It doesn't work in this format, does it?
And Kaylee. D.
Who's Kaylee? Jeez.
You're both. Get over it. D.
I'm on a 17.
17. Womp womp.
I wanted to win!
Sorry.
Fine.
I think Fizzle like had been scrawling this entire time, and handed the paper to D. Just this one will win, and it's just this complex formula with like arcane runes for variables. It rhymes.
Can't read that, Fizzle.
But it's very clever, trust me.
It's a very elegant and nuanced solution to a problem that's been around for a very long time.
Oh, yeah.
And by that time, you've now wasted
The
half your
turn.
time and have to like throw something together.
Fizzle takes the fall. All right. Rarajal's was higher than Jannar's, right?
I think they were the same.
I don't remember.
I
Because
think
I
I'm
had
yours
not-
was higher.
Mine was a 21.
Mine was also a 21.
Oh, they're the same. All right. So we get one more round because that is a tie.
So I still have chance.
You
Not
keep
really.
telling yourself that, honey.
You know what? Shut up, Rachel. No one asked you.
All right, Beatrice, calm down.
The gnome rolled an 18. Jannar.
17.
17. Rajal.
19.
19. D.
7.
7. Womp womp. Rajal giving a spectacular poem performance, in which, you know, it's just this very moving poem. Everyone else is going for funny. Rajal just goes for moving, and the crowd's like, something different, something new. Fuck yeah. And just sweeps the poetry contest. Rajal, roll me another D8 as you get another prize.
Rajal's like, I may not have any new friends, but I have swag. That's a 5.
That's a 5. Okay, so you are given a replica of a unicorn horn that is filled to the brim with candy.
Ah! I give Fizzle a candy.
Oh.
The sweetest boy. All right.
Bye.
You all also wanted to go to the Cyclops, correct?
Yes, we gotta win something.
You know?
All right.
I've already won 2 things. So don't use
Also ring
me.
toss.
Yes, also the ring toss after this. So we're going to go to the Cyclops and then the ring toss. And then if you guys want to do the other ones, we can do that too. But, so you head over to the Cyclops, and which you see a big illusory Cyclops staring and a small halfling at the front saying, "What do you do when the eye of the Cyclops falls upon you? You stare right back if you've got the stamina." And so whoever would like to participate, I need a constitution check.
Okay.
Nat 20.
At 20, great. Do you want me to take a shot or do you want extra benefit?
I'll take the extra.
Okay.
I will save you the shot because I'm selfish.
Okay. All right. Is anyone else participating? D, I think you said you were?
Yes.
I got 15.
15. Okay. And Fizzle?
That is 18.
18. Are you playing as well, Ragel, or are you hanging back with your candy?
I'm gonna just eat my candy and be like, I'll give you guys a chance to win one.
So, you all one by one come up and stare down the eye, and Fizzle, it doesn't take too long before the Cyclops eye blinks, and you're like, yes, I won! And then D, it takes a little bit longer, but you manage to outstare the eye as well. Man, Jannar, they put it on hard mode for you. You just sitting there, staring, and it goes, and then the halfling looks a little nervous for a moment. He's like, it's not supposed to go on this long. D, did I break it? D, I thought I broke it. I think I broke it. This is why Mr. Witch and Mr. Light put me on the small stalls, because I can't handle the pressure. And he starts to like melt down. But eventually the Cyclops eye blinks, and Jannar, you have won. And he's like, because you are the best at staring down Cyclops in the face of danger, you get 2 prizes, our champion. And so I need 2 rolls of a D8 from you, Jannar, and everyone else, D and Fizzle, give me a single roll of a D8.
7 and 8.
Okay. So Jannar, you get a cuddly toy spider, and as an action, you can stroke the spider to gain the benefit of spider climb for 1 hour. Once used, the toy turns into a real spider and scuttles away.
Broke it.
Your second one is a gloved puppet, so like a puppet that you put your hand in like a glove, in the shape of a wizard. As an action, you can move the puppet's arms to cast minor illusion as a cantrip. After 3 uses, the puppet disappears in a puff of smoke.
Okay, cool. Got it.
All right, D, what was yours?
1.
1. Okay, give me also a D100.
Oh, wow. Okay. Come back! 73.
73. You're given nunchucks sized perfectly for a pixie or a sprite.
God damn it.
Delightful.
Those aren't nunchucks, those are tassels.
Yeah.
All right, and what was your roll, Fizzle?
1.
1. Also give me a D100, please.
Don't pick
67.
67. You get a tiny sundial
God,
that is currently casting a shadow while the moon is out.
Why was that?
You want the nunchucks?
This is fascinating. There's no
D in the
basic-
really bad, no good day.
Hate this day. Hate these games. I'm better at the ring toss one. Jesus.
So, speaking of such, next you all do head to the ring toss, in which you attempt to throw a ring onto the horn of these little cute fluffy rabbits with golden unicorn horns. And out in front is a kind of a wispy looking elven woman who says, "The Almirage is no mirage. Adorn its horn with 2 or 3 rings to win a prize." So what you all will need to do for this one, if you would like to participate, is you get 3 attempts to throw a ring onto one of the Almirage horns using a dexterity check. So you get 3 rings. Who would like to try? 1, 2, everybody. All right, cool. Give me your first rounds of dexterity checks, please. And I will just go from right to left on my screen. Okay, Jannar first.
22.
22. All right, let's go for Ragel.
That was a nat 20.
Nat 20. Would you like me to take a shot?
Yes, I would.
Okay.
And the final
wrong
tally
dice.
was 27.
27. Great. D, while I pour.
14.
14. All right, and it really is the no good, very bad day for you, isn't it? And Fizzle.
12.
12. All right. So D and Fizzle, you throw your rings, and as you do so, right as it's about to land on the horn, the Almirage disappears and reappears in another section. Jannar and Rarajal, you throw your rings, and Rarajal, there was not an Almirage where you throw your ring until you throw it, and it suddenly appears where you threw it. And Dead Ringer, you both have one ring done. So let me Fizzle, D, Rarajal, Jannar. All right. Next round. Give me dexterity checks, please.
Ah,
Is such another nat 20? Am I boned
Nope.
again? Okay. Jannar.
21.
21. All right. Rarajal.
that's a 1.
Oh, okay. Would you like to take a condiment shot?
So that's a 5 in sum. Yeah, my condiment this time is Chinese takeout duck sauce because I don't really have much of a sweet tooth. So I guess I will just squirt that directly into my mouth.
Whole packet. Just
Should I suckle it or squirt it?
squirt
I
it.
can
Better
even-
effects.
If I can even get it open. It's
Do
not
we have
even.
to answer? Is that a so?
I answered
It's a trick
for the
question.
party.
Nope, that one won't open. All right, let's try another one.
Use some
Multiple duck
tea.
sauce.
You know, ever since I've had braces as a teenager, it's been really hard to open things with my teeth for some reason. Ah, there we go.
I just enjoyed the look of horror that Al gave me in that moment. Like, why the fuck? Yes. Oh yeah. Yes.
Gross.
All right. So you throw the ring, and as an Almirage like kind of sort of disappears, it bounces off and it ends up back on the counter in front of you. And you're like, this isn't so bad. I get it again. Does this mean I get a second try? And then the lady at the front is like, I didn't see it not go. So you can re-roll that one. D.
Can I just do can I get a shot and a disadvantage for my one that I rolled because I'm having a shit time?
Okay. So you go ahead, and as Rarajal's ring comes flying back towards them, it knocks your ring out of the way where it was perfectly aligned to hit one of the Almirage, but it catapulting back makes it where yours just goes out and off to the side.
What can I say? I'm just always messing up anything good for you.
Okay, Fizzle, what was yours?
Fizzles was a 11.
11. Okay. So you go to toss it, and as you do so, the Almirage kind of just shifts a little bit to the side, and it falls and kind of bounces off of it. It looks a little annoyed that it got hit, just a little bit though. All right, last round. Oh, did you re-roll yours for Rajal?
No, sorry, I was too traumatized by having duck sauce hit the back of my throat.
That's valid. Go ahead and re-roll that second one for me.
Could be other things.
Could be. It's an 18.
18. Okay. And so while D's pouting, you kind of just are like, sorry, and toss it. And as you toss it, it perfectly rings one of the Almirages. So you have 2. All right. Third round.
Damn it! I hate this.
Jannar.
21.
21. All right. And Rajal.
24.
24. And D.
Hold that. Because as D tosses hers, Fizzle just kind of like subtly looks over, puts a gem into his gauntlet and just sort of makes like a gravity gun kind of motion towards her her ring and casts catapult towards
Okay.
one of the
Go ahead
one of
and
the
roll a
things.
sleight of hand check for me to see if you can do this on the sly without being caught. You can roll it with your bless, and go ahead and roll it with advantage.
Sleight of hand. 1, 2, and bless. 21 sleight of hand.
Okay, so you fling catapult at it, and the ring corrects itself as two almirages are just close enough where it rings both of them at the same time. And so D, you get 2 wins out of that one round. And you don't have to take your shot. Or you can if you want to, I guess. Okay, sure.
It's easier to take it than to pour it back in.
That's valid.
Because you're also like clumsy.
Yes.
All right, so that means everybody gets a prize. I need Raragil to roll twice, though, because you got all 3 rings.
I also got all
Listen,
3.
I'm rolling really well right now, which
Yeah,
means
mark
when
it
we
down,
go to
so,
battle.
yeah, Jannar as well, sorry. That's my bad.
Is it still an 8?
It's a D8, yes.
Yeah.
Got a 4 and an 8.
The 4 gets you another bottle of Witchlight wine.
Oh, great.
And the 8, you also get a gloved puppet. This one is in the shape of a hag, though. But it also casts the minor illusion cantrip. And after
Nice.
3 uses, it disappears into a puff of smoke. Jannar, what are your 2?
They're both 3s.
Both 3s.
Yeah.
So you get 2 packets of pixie dust. So as an action, you can sprinkle this dust on yourself or another creature, and they gain a flying speed of 30 feet and the ability to hover for 1 minute.
Alright.
If it ends while they are in the air, they fall safely to the ground, not suffering any fall damage.
Nice.
And D, what is your roll?
5.
5. You also get a replica unicorn horn filled with candy.
God damn it.
Jill holds hers out and is like, cheers?
She hands it to Fizzle.
Oh.
Goes to
Calm down.
Fizzle. Cheers?
Surprise.
Clunk. He has to kind of jump a little, but clunk. All right. Are there any other small stalls that you guys would like to participate in? There is also Catch the Dragon by the Tail. Jesus Christ. By the Tramp. And then there is Goblin Wrestling.
Goblin wrestling? You didn't say that earlier.
I did.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't hear it
You
earlier.
definitely did.
You
I'm
heard it.
ready. I want to do that.
Okay.
I will also do that. Why not?
Okay.
Fizzle will jump up onto like the table and just ching ching, just both daggers out.
Not that kind of wrestling.
Oh.
Chink. I'll get down.
So out front are two goblins that say in back and forth, one then the other, "Strong folk, test your mettle in a goblin wrestle." And so Jannar is participating, and so is D, correct? Is anyone else participating?
Bird bones don't do well with wrestling.
Okay. Fizzle's not. All right. Yep. Strength's not his bag. All right. So D and Jannar, since you are both medium size, you will have to wrestle 2 goblins. You only have to pin one of them, but you do have to wrestle 2 of the goblins.
I
I
wrestled 3
need-
just for a show of pride.
There's only 2 goblins.
God damn it.
And I don't want to hurt your pride anymore. So I don't want to do this to you and be the one in trouble. So, D, go ahead and give me an athletics check.
Okay. Where is that? Athletics? Where is it?
Yes.
Oh, there it is. No. 19.
So they roll a 17. They come at you, and they're trying to like pin you around, and you kind of put out a hand and stop one as you grab hold of the other and like kick its legs out from under and pin it to the ground. And you're still holding the other one back behind you while there's like a magical countdown that appears above you until a bell dings, and you have won.
Is that all you got? Come on.
The goblins look very sad.
She knows them, so she's like, come on.
They're just like, aw, D, come on. This is our thing. But Jannar, go ahead and give me an athletics check, as well for your goblins.
After watching D be incredibly mean to them, he just goes, all right, guys, don't worry. You're doing great. This is going to go so well for you. Don't you worry. I mean, I'm going to kick your ass, but it's going to be fine. And then I rolled a 3 minus 2.
So the goblins, like, renewed in their fierceness, are like, ah! And they rush you, and you're like, oh god, as they, like, come leaping at you, and you're like, not the horns! As you just become, like, a little coward ball, as, like, goblins are just attached to you. And then the countdown begins, and they wipe the floor with you.
See, now I told y'all you'd do better. I'm gonna leave, though. Have a great night.
So D, go ahead and roll me a D8 for the prize table.
Oh, that's the only run. It's gonna be multiple rounds.
I think I said only one round.
Damn it. Sorry,
You can play again if you want.
Can I just do it real quick?
Yeah, sure. Go ahead and roll me a strength check.
18.
18. Yeah, the goblins are like getting a little tuckered out at this point, and so they come running at you, and they're like, ah! And easily you just stick out a foot, one stays away, and then you just take a hand and like squash the other one down and hold it in place. It's like trying to run in place, but it's not going anywhere. Give me 2 rolls on the prize table, so D8, please.
I got 2 4s.
2 4s, you get 2 bottles of wine.
God damn it. Okay.
You have 4 bottles of wine now.
Okay, it's fine.
If you
bottles
would
of
like,
wine-
you can switch any of your prizes for any of the like other prizes that the stall has, or you can also choose. They have blue frosted cupcakes, candied apples on a stick, cookies that make you laugh. They have evening berry wine, which is non-alcoholic. They have fairy bell nectar, pixie tarts, sugar glazed button mushrooms, tree sap lollipops, or any of the other prizes that you have heard of, because I think you guys have done all of them.
I trade him in
alright.
nunchucks. Will it?
You'll
Jannar.
trade what?
Oh, sorry. So can I trade him my nunchucks? Or is it different stuff?
Yes, you can trade your nunchucks if you would like.
Can I do another like roll for something else on that big
Yeah, you
long
can try
list?
to.
Yeah. Okay. Didn't you roll a 67 earlier?
Mm-hmm.
I rolled a
So I need-
67.
So do
It's
you
the
want to
moon
roll
dial.
re-roll in the carnival prizes table, or do you want to re-roll the D100?
100, please.
Okay, so what did you roll?
67. So I got whatever he got.
67. Yep, you also got a tiny sundial that casts a shadow only in moonlight.
Can I trade this in again?
Sure. It's like
Okay.
McDonald's, you just ask for the prize that you wanted in your Happy Meal. If they
4.
have it in stock, they'll give it to you.
I don't know. There's 100 things that they could have at any given night. What's 4?
4. Wow, that's a long way down this table. So you get a painted wooden key who the teeth on the key change every day at dawn.
Nifty.
Okay with that. Okay, cool. Thank you. Thank you, Jeffrey. I'm assuming your name is Jeffrey.
Sure, it's Jeffrey.
Jannar, you should try wrestling the goblins one more time.
You know, I feel like I have suffered enough at the hands of some goblins, but I do appreciate that.
No, I think you'll do better this time.
Oh, bless his soul.
All right, I don't want to discourage somebody from encouraging others. Okay, hey, little guys, we're going again.
And as he
Here we go.
goes to do that, this is the perfect opportunity to run a little experiment with an item that Fizzle has had the whole game. I know, not very long, but since character creation. Fizzle has written a interesting piece of music. It was a magically generated piece of music that combines high tones and deep bass, unlike any sounds traditional instruments can produce. It evokes the journey of a coefficient when applied to an arcane variable derived from a parabolic ley line.
English?
And strangely, goblins in particular find it quite upsetting.
Nice. Oh, so it's like the brown note for goblins.
Yes.
It is math dubstep
Never
Oh,
gonna
oh,
give
that's
you
that
up.
worse.
really upsets goblins.
So Jannar, go ahead and roll with advantage as Fizzle begins playing this like really bumpin' club music.
It's 17 minus 2, so 15.
15. Okay. So as he does so, the goblins kind of like shriek and cover their ears. And you're just like, oh, okay, maybe you just need to take a nap now. And you just kind of like lay them down and you're like, go to sleep, go to sleep. You'll be fine in the morning. And since there's someone on the ground, the timer starts clicking down and it's like ding, ding, ding. Go ahead and roll me a D8 on the prize table.
5.
5. You also get a replica unicorn horn filled with candy.
Nice.
As he comes back, Fizzle's just
Thank you so much. I could not have done it without you.
The sweetest thing.
I'm gonna split this here candy with you for your efforts, and I'll pour half of it into something for him. Just like, here you go.
so much candy.
Yep.
Fizzle's
Fizzle
gonna
is
be
gonna
on
be
the
wired.
sugar high of his life.
Yep. He's
Love
gonna
Fizzle.
hear colors.
We need to make shirts with Fizzle's name on them. We stand Fizzles. Wait.
So as you all wrap up your time at the small stalls, the hour passes, so your bless effect does end, and this is where we are going to go ahead and wrap up for the evening. And we will pick up here as you guys continue to spread merriment and kind of try to figure out what's going down and how you gonna fix things. Yeah!
Yay!
So, thank you all for joining us for our second episode of Drunken Dragons. We appreciate you guys hanging out with us, and it's 2 minutes till Critical Role, so we gonna go watch that. Bye!